Hello, everyone. I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel. And let me get rid of that. And yes, welcome to the pre-show for what will be the Batman Mask of the Phantasm rewatch. Really excited about this. Just announced it not too long ago. That's what we're going to be doing. Decided to go ahead and do Batman Mask of the Phantasm just to put a final cap on our Film Noir discussion that we've had. We had a little bit of a break with the screwball comedies, and then we changed things up doing the Bill and Ted movies and whatnot. So that's where we are with tonight, just putting that cap on the Film Noir before we move on to the Universal Monsters next week. So that's going to be cool. We're going to look at The Invisible Man first. So that's going to be good. But that's where we're going to today. As far as what we're doing for the rewatch, I will share with you that in a... Oh, good. Okay, the camera cleared up. All right, good. I was going to have to do the whole camera thing there, but it looks like I don't have to. For the pre-show, what we're doing today is a little bit different. I had decided to, or I'd traditionally been doing art analyses on Tuesdays, but we're going to do something a little different tonight. I'll explain that in a second. We're going to talk about Batman, specifically the Batman trailer that came out. So I haven't really given my views on that yet. So I'll use this opportunity to do that, and we'll get to that in a moment. But first, let's welcome the chat. Let's see. I did see Troy was first, or at least the first that I saw, I believe. And then Paladin Demo popped in. Chris P, I think, was third, if I'm remembering correctly now. But my chat, as we have it here, Melissa Harris, welcome. Schooner Tuna, I like Schooner Tuna. Yes, 1,000 times yes. I love Batman Mask of the Phantasm. It is by far the best movie that perfectly encapsulates everything Batman. You're absolutely right. It really does. In fact, this... it's unfortunate to say, and I'll reiterate this in a second when I start talking about, the Batman trailer, is that we've never had an iconic live action depiction of Batman. Never. Closest we got was Tim Burton, and that was amazing. But we've never had a true live action depiction of the iconic Batman. What we have had, though, is the animated film in theaters, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, and it was glorious. That's the true iconic Batman. I might talk a little bit about that here in the pre-show. We'll certainly dig into it as we do the rewatch. So and we'll have all of our usual panel here with that. Very much excited about that. Sound Engraver's going to join us, too. And Al was... I think some part of me thinks Al's just messing with me because he called me today, and he never calls me. We always talk through Messenger or something, but he called me and said, "Wonder why I'm calling you." I'm like, "I don't know. Are you okay? Is everything happened?" He's like, "My internet's out, and it's not going to be on until tomorrow at noon or something like that." I think my friends are messing with me because they know my PTSD of being without Wi-Fi and whatnot. But he got it back, apparently. Apparently, miraculously, it returned somehow, some way. So he's going to be with us tonight, which is good. So we'll have the whole panel, everybody talking about Batman Mask of the Phantasm through the lens of Film Noir. But also, Batman, there'd be no Batman without Film Noir. He is a product of the detective, the pulps, and... he came about it at that same time, the late 30s and into the 40s, and that's Film Noir's heyday. So that's he developed at that same time. He's a product of that. So you can't help but to talk about Batman, just the character, naturally, even as you talk about Batman the movie, Film Noir aspect. So let's see who else we have here. Sound Engraver, fifth thumbs up. Great to have you. Daniel Heron, awesome people of YouTube and Professor Geek. Okay. Just calling us awesome. Appreciate it. Joker's Wild is here. Great name for that. Welcome. Casey Lork, Computer Robots. Welcome. Wolf 10 Media. Alec Purdue. Haven't seen you around in a while, Alec, I think. But great to see you. Laps 237. The Dark Tico Knight 12. Great to see you as well. Tom Spiegel. Great to see you. He said, "I'm so mad at myself for missing Call the Conqueror on Big Al's channel." So I'll drop my one joke here. Welcome, Chris Damon. Haven't seen you in a while either. Chris Damon, great channel artist of the or artist who contributes to the channel every now and then. Good to see you. Owen Lister. Got a lot of people in here, so all right. Great to see everybody. Netters Network is here with us. Hello, Nanette and Anya Stefani. Nice to see you. Owen Lister with a super chat right out of the gate, $4.99. Thank you, sir. It says, here's my honest thoughts on the trailer. If the film itself is good, cool, but it will be a poor Batman, whether it's a good film or not. Yeah, exactly. It's sad each and every time this happens. Whatever movie is about to come out where the trailer just completely and utterly misses the mark, you've always got that group of people that rush to their keyboards as though they're the first people ever to issue this argument. You haven't even seen it yet. You can't say, how can you say that? You haven't seen, because I have logical discernment capabilities. I'm an educated intellectual adult. I'm sorry that you aren't, and you're incapable of knowing what anything will truly be until you've experienced it fully. But if I see a brown pile with flies landing on it on the corner of the sidewalk, I don't need to taste it to know what it is and know that that's not going to be good. Stay away from it. But, you haven't seen it yet. Silly, most rudimentary, asinine argument. So let's just dispel that right at the get-go first. It's a nonsense argument. It doesn't work. Although you'll still have people in the comments of this video because they don't even wait for the video. They just run right to that go-to comment. It's like, I'll shut you up about this movie that I think is going to be amazing, even though I haven't seen it yet, that kind of thing. So you'll see that. But getting past those silly sort of surface level arguments, when I saw the Batman trailer, when I watched it, I thought, I wasn't even angry. I wasn't. I thought, yeah, makes sense. This is what a Batman movie should be right about now. Now, I don't mean should as in I want it to be, or it's good for mythology, or it's good for the character of Batman. No, not at all. Of course, it should, in that sense, be, we should finally be getting a live action take on the iconic Batman, something that actually truly honors the character and doesn't just pander to the director's vision or all of the divided, Bat Bros out there and that kind of thing. But what I meant by that was that it makes sense. It's exactly the kind of Batman movie I'd expect in today's climate after the character, the icon, the archetype has been so misunderstood and so stubbornly, consistently mishandled by the copyright holders for so long. We're at a place now where there's no such thing in the public consciousness. Just your average person off the street, there's no such thing. And it pains me to say this, but there's no such thing as an iconic Batman anymore to your average person, the average public consciousness. Warner Brothers and DC Comics, even before, Warner Brothers really got involved much, they've allowed so many misconstrued perceptions of the character to be made. They've allowed so many completely off the wall, totally missed the mark incarnations of characters that bear that Batman name that, of course, I mean, how can the character can't remain consistent in our consciousness and in our mythology. It can't remain like that for that long. So the word Batman doesn't really mean anything anymore. It just means a character who's, you give him the name Bruce Wayne, maybe, because, you can maybe, I mean, it's not going to be long before we've got a Brianna Wayne, donning the cowl, I'm sure. But you give him certain trappings around there as far as who his character is and what his values are and what he truly fights for and why he fights and how he fights. All of that's up for interpretation now. It's all up for interpretation because they've messed around with it and just allowed it to be deconstructed to the point where there's no consistent peg to hang Batman on anymore in our culture. And that's tragic. It's tragic. Superman's getting there. Batman's well past that point, and it's very sad because Batman, the true iconic Batman, is a necessity. Is a sticking point for our culture. It's a pediment, his archetype anyway. Not that you remove Batman and the world's going to heck. No, not that at all. But you've got the idea of we've lost something, and I'll tell you how and why. So, as I said, we've never had a live action iconic Batman on screen. And that's not a slight against the Adam West Batman 1966. I do love the Adam West 1966 Batman, but that was never intended to be the iconic Batman. That was always from from the moment they decided that was supposed to be this sort of absurdist theater Americanized, take on a comic book or whatever, and that's what they did. They had fun with it, and it was great fun to watch. People of that time are like who caught the tail end of that time, depending on their age. They can have problems with Batman 66 because unfortunately it did shape how the culture looked at Batman for a time. And that was unfortunate. But it's not the 1966 show's fault by any means. Batman is that was a great show. It was a great incarnation of it, and it kept true to the character's core, its values and whatnot. Even though it was a more sort of a fun, cartoony, absurdist kind of take on the universe. I'm just going to talk about movies for a second, and we'll go back and talk about comics. When we got Tim Burton's 1989 Batman, that was a glorious film. It really is. And I truly, absolutely love that film. It's the closest we've come to Batman live action as the iconic Batman, the real deal. But it did drop the ball in some very key places that it shouldn't have in terms of a Batman incarnation. It was a great movie, but in terms of a Batman incarnation, so that you can't really call that the iconic Batman across the board. Batman Returns, the second one, was also a great film. I also love that film quite a bit, but it was a little darker, and it still had that same ball drop moments. You got Batman. In hindsight, you look at it and, oh yeah, he actually did kill those people when he shouldn't have, and stuff like that. Batman Forever, when Joel Schumacher took the reins, isn't a horrible film. It's a fun movie. Certainly is fun to see that take on Robin and whatnot, but it became a little too cartoony. With the Two-Face and Riddler and whatnot. Went a little too far in that direction, and then we shan't even speak of Batman and Robin, the fourth movie, So that's there's a problem there. Then, of course, that killed the character for a while. And if you look at that pattern just right there, just under those original four movies, you see the pattern right there that people either go too dark with the character or too light with the character, and either one of those is bad. Either one of those misses the mark. And of course, it was a long, long time before we would see Batman on the big screen again in live action, certainly. And then came Chris Nolan's films. And Chris Nolan, he knew that. He was very careful with Batman Begins. Batman Begins, I remember seeing it and liking it quite a bit. It had a couple issues with it that I didn't like. I really hated that stupid ending. I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you. No, you're a hero. Newsflash, you do have to save him. If you want to be a hero, you've got to save people in peril, even the bad guys. Get over it. That's what heroes do. That was a really stupid ending, but it was a very Nolan-esque ending. It had Nolan's fingerprints all over it, and he would take that kind of treatment of the character and just really enhance that treatment with Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, because he was more interested in making his Batman, and he was honest about that. Eventually, he came out and said, "My Batman exists in a universe where no other superheroes exist, and I'm, and his Batman is riddled with identity issues and all the things that are characteristic of a Nolan film." That's fine, but that's not the proper treatment of Batman on screen. So you come away with some decent films. I think Dark Knight Rises is a pretty awful movie, honestly, just objectively speaking, plot hole wise and whatnot. But he was kind of done at that point anyway. He didn't care anymore. He was trying to get out of his contract with Warner Brothers and step beyond them because of political reasons. But even though you might have had a good movie or two, still not the iconic Batman. Well, then of course we know it didn't take long at all for the Batfleck. And we're going to talk about Zack Snyder here. Did see a super chat though, and I do want to catch that right before I roll too long. Alec Purdue, thank you very much for the $5. Since Warner Brothers isn't handling DC well at all, which company would you give DC to for better treatment? Honestly, none. I'm not trying to be fatalistic. If you've listened to my channel for a while, you know my thoughts on the nature of Hollywood and the nature of the comic industry. The sickness is too deep, and it can't be fixed right now. DC just has to die, and it's on its way to dying. And Hollywood just needs to hit rock bottom and continue to die. We'll see. Will it or won't it? I don't know. There's plenty of people willing to just shell out their money for it no matter what. Gimme. I'll look for a little spot of glitter on the brown pile on the sidewalk. There are plenty of people willing to do that. And it's sad, but but I can't imagine anybody running the company in the current climate of Hollywood or the publishing industry or whatnot that wouldn't just eventually succumb to it. I mean, there are individuals that I'd love to see run, in powers of authority there and whatnot, but I don't think it's capable of being saved. I think that with everything right now, Star Wars, with all of our beloved franchises, I think Hollywood and all these industries would be far better served just to go start creating their own original material. They won't, because they're cowards, and I mean that really quite literally. They the reason why we get so many remakes of franchises or adaptations of franchises that are already popular is because Hollywood still got this mindset. It's this corporate mindset that, well, that's already got a proven success record. That's already has an audience. That audience will automatically come over to our new side with it. So that's a safe bet. Well, as we're seeing, that's not a safe bet, because those audiences are getting a little sick of people just throwing the label of what they love in their franchise on something that's completely different, that has no resemblance to it whatsoever. So they're not crossing over and they're not coming over. So that's it's not working, but Hollywood hasn't gotten that message yet. They're still just, it takes them like 10 years to learn a lesson. So, so I mean, you got good news coming out of Hollywood, certainly. And you got good news coming from even the publishing industry, but it's nothing. We're seeing some treatments. We're not seeing cures. That's the best way of putting it. We're seeing some really cool treatments happening, but it's not the cure yet. And as you know, if you have a sickness and you've got, an illness, and you're just going to sort of treat the symptoms, but not cure it, then you're not going anywhere. You made it a little more bearable on the surface for a bit, maybe, but you haven't done anything to the root cause, and it's only going to rear up perhaps even stronger after you fended it off for a bit. That's the problem that I see right now. So I don't think anybody can run it properly. Let me check through the chat here, see if anything else is going on with folks. See, some people got some differing opinions on Batman Forever. I mean, I think differing opinions on that movie are fine. I do tend to enjoy it, especially in hindsight. It's I would have far more preferred that Tim Burton have that third movie to make, and perhaps backed off The Darkness just a little bit, but not gone full out Schumacher, But I did have fun with it. I thought it was a fun film. There were great things. Nice. Val Kilmer was a great Batman, I thought. Even though Chris O'Donnell was far too old to be playing Dick Grayson, I do like that treatment of him, so. Let's see. Spidey Rules 1962 says, what has happened to Batman at this point as a consequence of postmodernism? That's a big part of it. Absolutely. Yeah. There are no, what is the iconic Batman? I mean, this is what people will say. This is what we'll have comments in the chat, perhaps, or the comments section, perhaps even saying, well, I mean, that's just your Batman. You just like your Batman. And this kind of thinking comes from that idea of, well, that's just your truth, man. It's all relative and blah, blah, blah. And we'll get to that in a second. That's a nice springboard to the Batfleck topic. Sound Engraver says, Fanman touched on something interesting today, and that is the interpretations of characters, if they come, should only come when the iconic original character is established. Yeah, that's a great point. And we've talked about that in terms of comics and movies as well. For example, when Brightburn came out, which was, to anybody with half a brain, they realized this was a horror version of Superman, even though they couldn't use any of those kind of names or phrasings or whatever. And people were saying, well, what's wrong with just doing a horror version of it? I mean, it's okay. Well, as distasteful as the very idea is to me, fine, do it if you were actually giving us an iconic version of it at the same time. But when the horror version of it is so close to the Zack Snyder version that they're barely distinguishable, it's really quite ridiculous. Then you've erred somewhere. You haven't. That's not right. We need to have that Elseworlds and what if kind of scenarios are only fascinating or interesting if you have a point of comparison. If you don't, people get lost in that, and that's what we've seen happen with Batman. Absolutely, we're going to get into that. Yeah, the Spidey Rules the whole "this is my interpretation" attitude is absolutely a part of that. Yeah. Multimedia says, and all of the wokes and deviants will look up to the prof and shout, "Save us!" And he will whisper, "No." Nice. I see what you did there. Let's see. All right, I think we're caught up here. So that brought us to the Batfleck, Zack Snyder, which was still Chris Nolan, executive producing. I don't know who in the world made this decision at Warner Brothers, but as we said many times, they just don't have any kind of they make all of their decisions from a corporate standpoint, and they don't operate from storytelling. They don't operate from any kind of logical, what would make a good film, or even, quite honestly, what would make a successful film. They just have these very removed by 10 degrees decision makers about this. And it's, hey, so-and-so made a good, Bryan Singer made a great X-Men movie. He'll do a great Superman movie. The two are not the same. Tim Burton did a great Batman movie. He'll do a great Superman movie because they put him on that for a while with Superman Lives. And how does that logic follow? Chris Nolan did those great Batman movies. He'll do a great Superman movie. No, he won't. So they tried to get him, but he didn't want to do it. He eventually acquiesced to executive producing. Zack Snyder did a great Watchmen movie. People seem to like that. Let's get him to do Superman. Where is your train of thought here? That is the most. I can't even begin to defend that line of thinking. That is just so. And we got exactly the kind of movie that a Watchmen director would make for Superman. It was utterly absurd. The absolute wrong take on Superman whatsoever. There's no defending it. There is no defending it. But people still tried. The Snyder Bros still tried desperately. And they'll say, and this is what they say about Batman v Superman when it comes to Batman. How can you say that's not the character from the comics? You look at that scene right there, or that pose right there. That's straight out of the comics. Well, first of all, just getting a pose or one concept or one strain of a story out of context, that's not taking it out of the comics. That's not taking it out of the comics at all. That's just Snyder is a visual artist. He is an awful storyteller. He's a horrible storyteller. He doesn't know how to do it. He's a visual artist, and you have to really kind of appreciate his aesthetic to even appreciate his visual art. The only movies that he's done that have worked are ones that already had a very strong script or strong established story. So even though I'm not really a big fan of the Watchmen story, or even the Watchmen comic, I mean, I'm glad I read it, but it's nothing I'll go back and read again. He did a very good adaptation of that material because the story was already so firmly written there. He did a horrible, every other film that you look at where there wasn't a story there, he just doesn't know how to tell a story. So he does what he did with Batman v Superman. He went to the comics and cherry-picked all of these different looks or poses or perhaps themes at times, pulled them out, and Chris Terrio was a part of this and made them completely out of context, and it just didn't work. That's not the character. That's not even the character from those comics. Now, on the second level, he picked the worst comics, the most horrible comics to choose from. Just because something's in the comics does not mean that that's the iconic Batman or the iconic Superman. Some incredibly boneheaded ideas have tried to be pulled off in the comics, and they're horrible. They're bad ideas. Just pointing that something happened in the comic doesn't mean, it's the iconic character. No, did that choice meet with a resounding applause of their readers? Did fans everywhere incorporate that occurrence or that look or whatever into their understanding of Batman? And I've had people talk and try to defend the Batman, or Ben Affleck's Batman, and say, "Oh, you just don't. That is straight out of the comics. It's straight out of Frank Miller's Batman comics." You're right. Here's a newsflash: Frank Miller's Batman comics are awful. That is not in any way, shape, or form the iconic Batman. I'm talking about Dark Knight Returns here specifically. First, year one was actually quite good, but that's because he was playing by the rules at that point, still coloring within the lines, so to speak. The Dark Knight Returns is awful as a Batman story. It only exists and has merit as an Elseworlds, and that's always what it was. Even though the Elseworlds title didn't quite come about until after it, it was never intended to be continuity. And they applied the Elseworlds title to it as soon as they created that. That's not continuity. And it was really, and you hear Frank Miller talk. Frank Miller is just, he's no one that needs to be an authority on Batman. He does not understand the character. In his typical crass way, he said, "Well, it took my Batman to give Batman his balls back," as he says. What an incredible spit in the face to Denny O'Neil, to Neil Adams, to Len Wein, to all of the amazing comic book writers and artists, excuse me, who worked on the character through the late 70s, way before Dark Knight Returns ever came out. That's a ridiculous statement. And people who try to pretend that, oh, he saved Batman from the cheesiness. No, that's ridiculous. You don't know your history or your comics very well. Batman was amazing in the comics long before Miller ever came about and made him this dark, vengeful, murderous, vigilante, whatever. It was horrible. Daniel Heron for $2. Does Riddler kill anybody in the comics? Yeah, I mean, it can happen. Depends on your take. The writer's take of the Riddler. But yeah, Riddler doesn't have to be this this silly kind of Joker light. You know, he can be quite ruthless. So that's not necessarily a problem there. But people will say, you know, yeah, you're right. Ben Affleck does. He looks just like the suit looks just like the suit from Dark Knight Returns. The scenes, some of the themes, straight out of that comic book. Absolutely. And that's a horrible decision. Horrible choice to make. That is not the iconic Batman. Awful decision. Awful decision. Nobody with half a brain wanted to see Batman and Superman fight each other. That's just this ridiculous notion that you get with these sort of nihilistic or anger-ridden, you know, fanboys occasionally. Anybody who truly understands the characters knows that that's a silly notion. It's a completely silly notion. That shouldn't happen at all. But that came from Frank Miller too. He believed that there's no way these two would be friends, and he hated the character Superman anyway. Still does, even though he tries to claim otherwise. But you can see it. You can see it in his treatments. You know, even his more recent one. So you have Batfleck there, who is the incarnation of the Frank Miller Batman. Not it. That's not the character either. So now you look back at all of our compiled incarnations here, and you've got the spectrum, the scale from incredibly cheesy, you know, absurdist kind of theater to a little bit darker, but then we cross the line a little bit, and you got him outright killing in an outright character that's not even the Batman anymore in Zack Snyder's movies. He's the Punisher. He is the Punisher. Let's just be honest. He's the Punisher with a bat signal or the bat insignia on his chest. That's all he is. He's nothing to do Batman whatsoever anymore. So when I saw the trailer for The Batman, I saw a Gotham City that looked like Chris Nolan's Gotham in Batman Begins. I didn't see anything really truly gothic or Gotham-like in that city. It looked very realistic. Now, maybe there's some things, you know, in other shots or whatever I haven't seen, but that's part of it there. I saw the you can't get away from it. There's the diversity casting. You saw that, which is a wrong move for that, because you're telling the audience, no matter how amazing these actors rather could perform, right? No commentary on their performance whatsoever. I'm sure they're wonderful actors, but for Gordon or for Catwoman or anything like that, you're telling the audience right there that you are not that concerned, or you don't really care. You see the source material is something that you should be able to completely alter to your whim and to your artistic vision. That's what the director, that's his notion, that's his message to the audience right out of the gate with that kind of diversity casting. The Batsuit. This is what everybody tends to kind of start with and harp on, but the Batsuit is absurd. What is that awful Batsuit? It does not even remotely take a billionaire to make that suit or that car for any reason, for that matter. As people have so well said, any cosplayer who has 10 minutes in an army surplus store can come out with the black can of spray paint and have that Batsuit. It's ridiculous. It's that he looks silly. There was a scene in the trailer where he's kind of walking around a crime scene or something like that, and he looks like such a joke. give him a proper superhero suit. Give him a bat suit, make it as the iconic bat suit should be. There was at the time rumors that maybe we'd actually get the blue, the blue and gray, and that would have been amazing. But they're so scared about it looking too comic booky that they go this absurd cliff jump into the realism where it just looks silly. I do love the idea of him taking the gun that shot his parents and weaving that into chest armor as it was done in the comics, because that's a incredibly poetic and wonderful line to say that, here, the gun that stole my heart when it robbed me of my parents will now protect my heart. That's a great concept of what he's done with his positive activism and choosing to go out and fight against the criminals in the underworld that took his parents from him. And we'll get to that in a second too, because that idea of, that's what he means by vengeance. We'll get to that idea in a second. So the suit is nonsense. The suit's ridiculous. The ears are they're passable length, but with the eyes, you can't see his eyes at all. There's a one scene where he has the cowl off and you see the black makeup around his eyes, which Keaton and Nolan and all the Batman performers have had to do, because you can't see any flesh color, around the eye holes. But why does Pattinson even need to have the black eyeliner or eye makeup on? You can't see his eyes through the suit. That dehumanizes him. It makes him look like more like a bug than a bat, quite frankly. Where's the man there? It's Batman. He shouldn't look like a monster. He should have this sort of supernatural, he should evoke the supernatural to criminals, certainly. But if you want to see how to do that, just look at that opening reveal scene in Batman 89. That was wonderful, where he came in and Tim Burton really embraced the Gothic, and he's holding up the cape like Dracula and stuff like that. That was wonderful and terrifying the criminals there. But the suit's just awful. The bug eyes, no. The car is ridiculous. The car is, as many people have said, is just a souped up, you could go into any trailer park in the country and find somebody who's poured a lot into their car, and then boom, maybe the capabilities in the movie or something. Who cares even? Who really cares? It's silly. That's nothing that a billionaire who's dedicated his life since the murder of his parents to learning all he can, to shaping his mind and body, would come up with his resources. That's nope, completely missed the mark. The costume designer and the director, Matt Reeves, should be utterly ashamed of themselves for even presenting that. That's not presentable in any way to the public. That's it's quite embarrassing is what that is. And then here's the real point. There's that scene. You can tell throughout the movie there's so many little things in which the director thinks that people are going to get really excited about. Like, oh, did you hear that? They said, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm vengeance." Okay, well, that line, of course, is referencing the great Batman animated series. There's that episode, I think it's it's the first Scarecrow episode of the first season, where he says that wonderfully iconic line that only Kevin Conroy can utter, so perfectly. He says, "I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman." That's great. But what does that mean? Well, the iconic animated verse there defines that for us in Batman Mask of the Phantasm that we're about to watch here in just a little bit together. Vengeance does not mean he's seeking revenge on the criminal underworld for what they did to him and how they killed his parents. He wants to lash out in anger against them. No. If that's your concept of Batman, you go write another character, because you have no clue who you're supposed to be writing. That is not in any way what Batman means by vengeance. He's not meaning the literal meaning of the word. He's meaning this kind of metaphorical idea of Batman says they took my life from me. They took my parents. I'll never have that life growing up with my parents and that happiness that I could have had with my parents. And this is also explored in Batman Mask of the Phantasm, we'll talk about as it goes through. They took that life from me. So I'm going to take their life from them, not literally, not killing them, but their life of crime, their sense of they're safe to do this kind of behavior in Gotham City. I'm going to steal that from them. So they felt so completely at home waltzing up to my parents in an alley and killing them. They're not going to get that life anymore. They don't get to feel at home in Gotham City. Every time a criminal goes out, they've got to shudder and they've got to think, is the Batman watching me? That is what Batman means by vengeance. It truly means justice. But in the context of Gotham City, it's called vengeance, right? Because Gotham City's not Metropolis. Again, we'll talk about this in the movie too. That's a glorious meaning of the word, and that's what Batman means. And it's not any reading into it at all. If you watch the Batman the animated series, if you know anything about the character, how he's been consistently loved and shown through the comics, that's simply what it means. Batman does not kill. That would be true vengeance, right? To go out and just hurt as many people as much as he can. Now, we don't know if he's going to kill in the Batman movie or not. My guess is they'll probably go ahead and make him kill, but it will kind of be sort of anything as Zack Snyder made him kill. That's my guess anyway. It's just a guess. But Matt Reeves and maybe even Warner Brothers above him seem so desperate to try to please everybody. And as a result, they're not really pleasing anybody. You're always going to have those zombies who are just so desperate to think anything's going to be good that they've already decided to love it, and they'll defend anything, you haven't seen it yet, that kind of idea. But we don't see him kill in the trailers. We don't know if that's truly going to happen. But what do we do see? We see him show up to a ring of thugs there, and one of them comes up to him, and he does this amazing sort of, takes him down. That's great. That's great. Hey, Batman would do that. Incapacitate them. But once he's incapacitated, Batman sits there quote unquote Batman, Pattinson's Batman sits there and just proceeds to beat him ruthlessly. Just beat him there for a few minutes. Nope. Not the character of Batman. Completely missed the mark there. Utterly missed the mark. At no stage of Batman's life is that anything that he should ever do. Nope. I don't care. I don't care if that's it's just when he's starting out and he's just trying to learn. Nope. I don't care if you want to say, well, it's just when he was scared because he saw Superman enter the world and he just got scared there for a little bit and decided to kill. But it's just for a little bit. Then he stopped. No, you completely railroaded the archetype. That can't happen. That can't work. He's no longer a hero. You can't come back from that. And that's what Batman knows. It doesn't work. That's not the character. We've already seen absolute deal breakers in the Batman trailer. This is not going to be a movie about Batman at all. Some people are going to go see it. They're going to go throw the money at it because the name Batman is still does. The name Batman still has enough power to gain an audience, but it's not going to be anything like the numbers that the name Batman has garnered in the past. Warner Brothers got that wake-up call when Batman v Superman woefully underperformed, and the Snyder brats they'll try to pull some sort of mental gymnastics with the numbers. Say actually no, blah blah. No, it woefully underperformed. Just go look up the numbers yourselves. A movie with Batman and Superman together at the same time should have been amazing. Should have been the record breaking of all time. No, that failed big time. So Warner Brothers is trying to think, well, that's just because people didn't like the Snyder vision, but they don't get it. Don't do the Snyder treatment then. They think, well, we just get a different name on there. Then it's not the Snyder vision, it's the Reeves vision. The vision is the same, So you still got this jump off the cliff of darkness. The Batman's not going to perform. It's going to woefully underperform as well, I think. And that's just going to be the last shred. People are eventually going to stop wanting Batman movies and making Batman movies. I know that seems like unfathomable to people who don't remember the long drought we had between Clooney and Nolan, but that drought was there for a reason. We do live in a different world right now. Hollywood's a different world, but Hollywood's no longer the superhero movie bubble or anything like that either. And it didn't need to be a superhero movie bubble. Warner Brothers was a heavy contributor to making it be that. Alec Purdue for $10. Wonderful super chat. Thank you very much, sir. Says, I've come to the conclusion that Batman can only be done justice in animation. Animation can embrace all the comic book aspects without fear of being cheesy. Looks like I buffered there for a little bit. But yes, love your comment. Animation can embrace all the comic book aspects without fear of being cheesy. That's a good... It bears thinking about. It really does. I don't think I'm ready to go that far myself. I think it can be done in live action, but it would need to be so delicately done by just the right director that your opinion there is a pretty safe default. Let's just keep it in animation because I don't trust anybody to do it right in live action now. I absolutely hear you. Definitely. Let me go back and see some other comments where I might have left off here. Chris Damon, maybe the first Batman who sparkles. Yes, it'll be wonderful. Let's see. Spidey rules, and of course they gave him paramilitary boots. Yeah, paramilitary boots, right? Paladin Demo pointing out, no, the Frank Miller Batman, from what I understand, or from what I remember, didn't literally kill himself, but right up to the line. Far, far too brutal. And it wasn't a very big leap at all for Snyder just to take that Batman and go ahead and make him kill. Because the Frank Miller Batman was torturing already. It was just sadistic. It was an awful, awful character. Paramilitary boots, Spidey rules. It's an awful aesthetic. Who designed this garbage? It really is quite, I don't know. Edward M says, should Batman be a happy character? This comes into play in Mask of the Phantasm. Yes. Yeah, you're right. Mask of the Phantasm does explore this. And I think what Mask of the Phantasm does in context of the animated series, not Batman Beyond. Batman Beyond jumped the shark. It's got a lot of cool things about it, but I don't think you can look at Batman Beyond as the logical continuity after Batman the Animated Series. I know some people do, but Tim Burton really jumped the shark with that series and did things that would never happen. Batman would never become that and such. But in context of the animated series itself, Batman has to learn that he finds a different kind of happiness. Or his happiness isn't the same happiness that everybody else is going to have exactly the same way and so forth. We'll talk about that. That's kind of a larger meta question about Batman. And that's one that Dan DiDio famously got wrong, thinking, superheroes shouldn't have happy personal lives, or they can't, again, it's a complete misunderstanding of characters like that. Wolf 10 Media says people talking about the representation need to shut up because they only just want to see the glove on the screen, a glove on the screen, and they're not going to see it. They just want the satisfaction. Yeah, definitely. Owen Lister says they could have made the suit where the padding was underneath the spandex. Yeah, the padding is like right on top of it. Yeah, it's just they didn't even try. I think it's because they tried so hard to go the realistic route. If you think about it, I guess I need to see a couple more angles, but Pattinson's suit looks like the same level of realism that Nolan's suit was, but at least Nolan's suit had the style and the what's the word I'm looking for? Styles is what I'm going to go with, but that's not the word I'm looking for. But it was, it was cut and it looked like a billionaire created it. It looked slimlined or whatever. I can't think of the word I'm looking for. I mean, I didn't like the Batman suit. I mean, the Nolan Batman suit's it's not my favorite suit at all either. It needs that yellow there, but it wasn't horrible. It certainly wasn't the Batman suit. That's for sure. Spidey Rule said, just notice the text scrawl says Massel. Oh, did I? Yeah, I typed that wrong, didn't I? Let me fix that now. Let's see. Yeah, I was typing really quickly before I came on. Ask. There we go. Mask of the Phantasm. Yeah, I'm known to do that. Typing too fast. Go slow, I tell my students. Yeah, Owen Lister, he went overkill on that scene. Yeah. And well, maybe in the context of the movie, he'll realize, oh, that was kind of overkill. Well, okay. Maybe if the story truly is about him realizing, oh, I have to watch it and not go that far. Okay. But that doesn't at all even remotely excuse the fact that you put that in a trailer without that context. Stands up to all the criticism it deserves and will get for that. So that's silly. So that can't be defended. It can't be defended. Yeah, Wolf to Media, that turned you off too. Yeah, definitely. More comments here. Sound Engraver says, I wonder if the writers are ashamed of Batman being wealthy since they are designing his costume and car that way. I didn't think about that. But you know what? In this sort of, we still have that idea, well, the 1%, that kind of idea, they're the bad guys. And we live in a world that's so ill, like chronically ill with Trump derangement syndrome. And that's not a political statement at all. You can like or hate Trump. that's just a fact. The entertainment industry has Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, he's responsible for every cold sore they get. It's just insane. And maybe that he didn't want to associate Bruce Wayne as another just rich man, rich white man or something like that. Maybe. I didn't think about that, but that's actually depending on how the film plays out, that's actually could be very well in there. Making it, I could see him being like, well, this is the time when he starts out where he rejects his money or whatever because he wants to live on the street as one of the people or something like that. That's absurd. That's a horrible take on the character. That's dumb. That would be just putting these kind of modern day virtue signaling into that. Absolutely. Well, to me, he shall be known as Batbug. Yeah, Batbug. I think that's a good name for him. We've got Batfleck and Clooney's got the rubber nipples. I think Pattinson should just be Batbug because of those stupid goggles things he has on. Yeah. And Spidey Rule said, I guess they were trying to give him the white eyes of the comics, but the shape of the eyes is wrong. He looks more like a Daredevil. Exactly. That's what I saw too. I saw Daredevil. Yeah, Daredevil. Matt's blind. He should have, the red lenses there. And it even looks like a little bit of a red in the lens there. Maybe it's just certain lights or something like that on it. But yeah, no, that's a Daredevil thing. That's not a Batman. And I did like the way the Arkham games did it, where when he goes into detective mode, like the white lenses come up. That was pretty cool. But otherwise, they're down. You can see his eyes. I like that. And in the comics, of course, anytime he puts on the cowl, he's got white eyes, whether it defines that as having lenses or not. And that's fine for comics. And of course, the in the cartoon, as well as we'll see, the eye slits in the cowl are very expressive. It's like Spider-Man. And they gave a reason for that in the Spider-Man Homecoming film, which was pretty cool reason. I like that. Liked having that mechanical element into the suit. But you could do something like that with Batman. I don't know. It's not a full face, but yeah, I think it could work. I don't know. I have seen some fan films that play around with the white lenses, and it's an interesting thing. I'd like to see it played with more to see if it's really true or not, or if it can be done. Oh, Arcade Burns, yeah, Battinson. Battinson is the word that people are using. Batfleck, Battinson. Okay, yeah. You notice the character or the actors who really did a good job don't need any kind of there's no Bat Keaton or something like that. There's no word because Michael Keaton will tell you straight up, I am Batman. He founded that word. It was great, So yeah, only the roles and the incarnations are the interpretations that are off the wall get those silly names. Definitely. So we are running up against the time a little bit. Oh my goodness, it's 9:52. Okay, yeah. So I need to go set up for the Batman Mask of the Phantasm rewatch. We're obviously going to keep on to this topic because we're going to be talking about it as we watch Batman Mask of the Phantasm. So I do need to get a few things switched around here. Need to go get a piece of birthday cake, charge up the sugar, right? It's not my birthday yet. Just to remind everybody so you can put it on your calendar and observe it properly. It is September the 4th. Okay, so just make sure everybody remembers that, marks it down. But I got an early birthday cake the other day, and it's so delicious. So I'm gonna go have a bite of that and charge up the sugar levels so I can come back for a good solid rewatch and analysis. Then I'll bring the chat the panel in and everything, and we'll have a good rewatch. So maybe it will start a few minutes after 10, but I'll be back as soon as I can. I just need to get some things switched over as quickly as I can. So thanks for watching and hanging out with me, and thanks for commenting. And the super chats were wonderful. I appreciate all of you guys contributing your thoughts to this. I will cut this out, make it its own video, but for now, let's go get ready for a Mask of Phantasm rewatch and glory in the true iconic Batman. Hi. Wolfton Media, remember last week when I came back on, but then my mic was muted? And you told me, you said, Prof, never change. Well, I didn't change. Oh boy, okay. That was like a total fan man moment too. How long did I go there? Like 5 minutes without even you guys couldn't hear me? That's special. As you saw, that was Son of Fritz, our very own Chris Damon, his fan art, and I was trying to explain to him that I don't have a Twitter anymore. That's why he couldn't find me on Twitter, because some of the old memes were showing up under like Google searches for my name, and as someone who still needs to work, that had to kind of go. So now that you can hear me, I can go ahead and and explain that. And as I was saying, let me go ahead and bring the panel in here because they're backstage. And that's when I looked down at the backstage and saw, why does my mic have a line through it? Because I muted it and didn't come back. So I can take off the back in a moment now. I can do that. And we can bring in our panel. And with me as always here, I didn't think he was going to be here tonight, but we have my trusty TA, Big Al. Welcome, Big Al. And next up, we have Klingon cleric himself,
I don't know
Mr.
how
Troy
I'm supposed
Pacelli.
to follow that.
Everybody,
He's still laughing. He's still laughing. You didn't even know I took him out.
And the chat was like, "We can't hear you. You're muted." I even put it on the messenger.
Yeah.
You're muted.
And I was literally thinking, how can I get his
I
attention?
see
There's no way to do it.
Yeah.
There's no way to do it. I'm sitting here going, look at the chat.
Well, just for a second, let me welcome Sound. We have the lovely and talented Sound Engraver joining us as well.
I hate
Welcome,
to
Sound
be the
Engraver.
bearer of bad news, but you have a 5-second delay.
Oh no!
And now everyone notices
okay.
it. It's not Sound Engraver who only notices it. Oh.
Wonderful. I did try something in the settings, and there is something different tonight, but there's a delay. I don't know why the delay is there. Yeah, it's out of sync. Oh man. Let me try coming out and coming back in. I'll do that. I was gonna set up my my avatar anyway, so let me try completely coming out of StreamYard once you guys are here.
She
and then
is
I'll come
not.
back. Is Netter joining us tonight, Troy?
Just as Big Al was expressing difficulties, she is working on with our IT guy. He came over tonight to see if he can't help her out with her computer. So she's taking the time to try and get that fixed.
Okay. Well, did I have this delay the whole time? It was just me talking? No. Okay. So it's just when I bring a panel in. That's interesting. Okay, so maybe if I come out and come back, it'll help. All right. You guys go ahead and talk about what a doofus I am, and I'll be back.
It is incredibly painful to watch, though. It's
I was hurting for him. I was so hurting for him. I'm like, he's sitting there smiling, talking, chatting.
And I even typed in, I'm like, he's got this piece of artwork up. It's probably very interesting when he's saying about it, but I have absolutely no idea what it might be.
I said, because I'm just on the StreamYard. I can't. Well, not like he's looking at the chat anyway. It seems, but I'm even trying to send him psychic messages like, "Tune into me. You cannot. No one can hear you."
Exactly. But this just goes to show you. I mean, everybody out there in YouTube land, all 42 of you watching now, it's not easy. It is not easy to host a show. Oh, I love that.
I am just lucky. I want to explain. I'm just lucky I'm here. I'm glad I'm here because earlier today, I thought I might not be here tonight because my cable, basically cable internet phone bundle was out. Yeah. And I was told, between 12 and 2:30 tomorrow when we can show up. But luckily, it seemed like it was more widespread. More and more people called. So I'm here.
Is Fan Man joining us tonight or what?
What was that?
What's going on with your Rude,
Did
because
you
that
start
music was
the
coming
Did
in.
you start the film?
Oh no, you know what? I was like, you guys couldn't possibly have heard that. Then I
Yes.
realized, oh yeah, you could, because I didn't turn the TV monitor off and just the headphones on.
Dude, get it together, man.
I'm a little dazed. I won't
This is
lie.
the
How
moment-
much Diet Dr.
Dude.
Pepper have you had to drink today?
I'm
I
a little.
know.
Oh man.
Focus.
Oh,
So I was
All
gonna
right.
make a joke coming in. I was gonna say that Nanette decided that she didn't want to be in the stream if she couldn't be the solitary token female, but no, I just figured that wasn't gonna work. So
oh.
Okay. How is the delay now, chat? Give me some good news. Let me know that something's.
Is this delay on just on YouTube?
Yeah, so let me. I think I know what's going on. So chat will need your input. So here backstage, we can hear him normally, but the playback on YouTube is different from what we can hear inside StreamYard. So chat, if there is a delay on the prof's end, just let us know. The good news is that it doesn't happen when he's a part of someone else's panel, but that has been my
True.
observations.
I did just scroll back a little bit on YouTube, jumped over that panel, and I think it's okay. I don't hear Al talking over me just now. He actually said something after I was done speaking, which is a miracle in itself. But
Gotta get in somehow, dude.
so I think it's okay. Guys in the chat, do you hear me? I don't want to turn my camera back on just in case that messes things back up again. But it sounds like we're doing okay in terms of not speaking over each other. The delay's gone. Oh, and first of all, $5 from Agent Boomer. Thank you. Tonight, you're Professor Boomer.
right.
I shamefacedly accept that. I can't. Hey, at least I held it together for my Batman talk. I did that, right? That was okay.
That was great.
Yeah,
So,
that
okay.
was awesome.
Yeah, I see. The problem right now is my brain can't handle more than like one task at a time.
And Owen Lister's giving you a pity $4.99. He said a pity super chat for your troubles, Professor Boomer. And I'm thinking, hey guys, there's 42 people watching right now. If you all could just do a super chat of like $1, that would go a long way to make the professor feeling better right now.
I need a lot of pity.
The meaning of life, the universe, and everything.
Just remember me sitting there talking to you for about 5 minutes, and none of you could hear me, and I didn't know.
Yeah.
Agent Boomer confirms we do sound fine now, so delays are fixed.
Oh, good.
So it must be when I come bring a panel in midstream, I'll just have to go out completely and then come back like this. I don't know why I should have to do that, but at least that fixes it. That's good. So,
Yep.
And actually, if I may, if you do hear a delay on whether it's the prof or us on the panel, just that'd be helpful for us to know too.
yes, please do that. Absolutely.
Right. If you hear anything go wrong, don't restrain yourself. Just start putting in chat all the problems that you're hearing. Like, we need to tell you to do that.
Exactly. Now, for the film, I've got it queued up right at the 0 mark for me, which is the Warner Brothers logo is just fading in, and Bugs Bunny's going to step out from the side of it in a second, but that's where I have the film.
Mm-hmm.
So good for everybody else. But, see, what other channel do you go to get this kind of pre-show, though? I mean, what other channel owner would pretend to be such a buffoon just so you guys can have some entertainment, I mean, because of course this was all an act.
Well, there are also channels out there that can be a little hammy too.
I don't know if I know how to take that. Yeah, but you're here, and that's good. Get it together, man. Get it together. Oh my gosh. All right. So we do have.
I swear, if I were there, I'd do the whole moonstruck thing and slap you. So, like, step out of it.
I would accept it. I would accept it too. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, Arcade Burns, it's all part of the show. Matt Newey says, sure, and I'm Optimus Prime. But Spidey Rules can't stick around and watch it with us. But thank you so much for hanging out as long as you did, Spidey Rules. It's always good, always a pleasure to have you in the chat and your comments there. So good stuff. Phoenix Halcyon is with us too. Welcome, Phoenix Halcyon. Great to see you there. And okay, I guess we can go ahead and start the movie then. Are you guys ready for it yourselves?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So we'll go ahead and start. And like I said, it's all on the same theme tonight. So as we're talking about Mask of the Phantasm in light of film noir, we can certainly continue our conversation about Batman. So here we go then. I'll go ahead.
I totally missed that. I was redoing my Goonies avatar thing.
No biggie. I told people about you, and I thought you were just messing with me at first, playing off of my PTSD with my friends having no Wi-Fi too.
Yeah.
But
Well, I was. How many times have I called you? Literally.
I know that's. I was like, who died?
His internet, apparently.
Yeah,
Right.
the internet.
But it got
Exactly.
better.
It finally.
I do have to say this real quick before we start the movie. Al made a big faux pas. He calls me, and apparently I was on speakerphone, and apparently his mother's right there in the room. Now, that's not a big deal for me. I'm not the fan man, so I'm not going to say anything inappropriate. But I'm talking about this and that and this and that, and he's like, my mom's laughing at you. You're on speakerphone. And that should have been the first thing out of your mouth when I said hello, Al. That's just proper etiquette.
I never think about it.
So,
Besides, my mother's heard it all anyway. My mother. She's heard a lot and more so besides.
well, at least it was me and not Fan Man. So
That's true. Well, she'd have understood.
She lives with Al, so I'm sure she's used to it.
That's true. That's true. So we will do the countdown as always. I will say 3, 2, 1, play. And when I say the word play, that's when we all hit that button. So hopefully you guys in the chat have got your copies queued up, or I know some of you are just going to enjoy it by memory with us as we watch, and that's fine too. But here we go. So 3, 2, 1, play.
So this is going to sound way out in left field, but just this past week, Netflix dropped the first 8 episodes of the new season of Lucifer. I know none of you guys are into that kind of stuff, but it is a DC property. And I was watching it, and they had one episode that was absolutely a noir episode. It takes place in the 40s. The whole bit.
Cool. Right off the bat, that's a level of computer animation that we didn't get in the animated series, like having a camera actually move through those wonderful iconic Gothic designs.
They had more budget.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, I see what you did there.
Chanting music too.
I actually wanted to talk about, chanting or singing or vocal in general. When you hear chorus in drama and also probably in film, you should be cued by ideas like fate and death and spirituality. So a religious tone to it.
Perfect. Yeah, because destiny's a big part of and fate. That's a big part of the film. Absolutely.
And that this music and the chanting in particular really draws your mind to the Burton era of the films.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that's intentional.
Maybe somebody in the chat can answer this for me. Shirley Walker just said she did the score for this. Did she work on the animated series? I know whoever it was that did the animated series music did a great job, but he certainly took his cue from the Danny Elfman, Tim Burton. From it. Was it somebody else though? Now this opening scene here, if you remember that opening establishing shot from Batman 89, it's very reminiscent of that.
I'm going to be the person who confesses that I did not do my homework on the composer. Sorry.
I'll
just talk about the music when I hear.
Hey, that is fine. Just every little thing. This is a rewatch. The first thing we saw.
Sorry.
What's that?
She did over 34 episodes plus the second opening theme.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Matchstick's confirming that. Tom Spiegel. Yeah. Okay. But the first thing we saw before we see this. the first thing we saw before we see this scene is the top of the building, Shady Lady. This is all taking place in a restaurant called the Shady Lady. So just those who've watched the film before know what that alludes to.
Yeah, a little bit of foreshadowing there.
Mm-hmm.
I also wanted to say that Walker, she's also taking the cues of what we have seen in film noir scores. That very huge use, that wide range of brass.
Yeah.
And brass is harder to compose for than strings and all that.
The other thing that I haven't brought up on previous rewatches, Batman related, is that this animated series and this movie in particular ties in so well with that Burton Batman movie that this is what I had hoped for more of from DC as they went forward.
Yes.
But they went through this long period where they couldn't let their peas and carrots touch.
Yeah.
They couldn't have a spin-off of Smallville. They had to make a complete break when they created their Arrowverse, and the TV could have nothing to do with the movies and so forth. And now they're clearly starting to regret that. Now they want everything tied together, and they can't make it happen.
And I've always I want to say I love the imagery of the Phantasm. The invoking the images of death right down to the scythe with the handpiece.
He's the Grim Reaper, yeah. I forget who was it. Maybe it was Alec Purdue or somebody in the pre-show chatted about Batman probably just works best in animation. And one thing, look at this film noir take on Batman. In animation, you can have all of the proper comic book colors, but still have that dark, shade. So in the animated series, I don't know if they did the same thing in the movie. It looks like they did. Bruce Timm talks about how they would make the animators paint the entire page black first, and then paint the characters and the things on them with color. So you're working on a black canvas rather than a white one. And that would shine through a little bit to give it that darker gothic feel.
Then you have to make sure that you do the opposite when you're doing Superman.
Exactly.
And just how perfect is this version of Batman?
Mm-hmm.
Down to the color, down to that yellow oval. Come on, that's Batman.
Mm-hmm.
I like too that as a movie, you don't need to have watched the animated series to get this, and that this story of Batman could honestly fit anywhere into the continuity of Batman of the animated series. It could be at the beginning of his career, towards the end. It could be anywhere.
Yeah. Good point.
Not too close to the beginning of his career, but because we do flashbacks to that, but Oh, and Lister said, are we not going to talk about that awesome opening fight scene? You're absolutely right. Great choreography there. And look what Batman did. He incapacitated, but did not torture, did not pummel. The guy who was had the table on top of me stomped him, and that was a cool little scene, but it was because he was still conscious and he could still come after him. He was reaching for a gun.
And how nice is it seeing Bruce, Batman, actually doing investigative work?
He is
being the world's greatest detective.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, it did take me 2 days after watching this the first time to realize, film noir, she's femme fatale.
Oh, yep.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. These bird's eye scenes and God's eye shots, a lot of that in film noir.
That's what I want in life, is a big giant carpet with my insignia on it. A big S or an A, either one.
And a great big poster size painting of you over the mantle. Actually,
I love that.
Does sound like something that would be kind of cool.
The I word, engagement. Now, of course, this is the part that Bruce Wayne has to play, pretend to be the billionaire playboy, If it was up to him, he'd dedicate all of his life just to being the Batman, but he has to maintain the facade. This is his Clark Kent. This is his version of a bumbling character. He's the playboy instead.
But again, I would argue that with Batman, Bruce Wayne is the mask, whereas with Superman, Clark Kent is the person, and Superman is the cape he puts on to do what he does.
Yeah, but in terms, and I agree with you. But in the facets of like Clark Kent, the bumbling Daily Planet, Chris Reeve Clark Kent isn't the real Clark Kent, though. You know, that's a little bit of an act he's putting on. You know, in that sense. But.
You're right. He exaggerates, but I have always gotten and you know where I think we got the best, in my personal opinion, interpretation of the regular day-to-day Clark Kent was in well, you could say Lois and Clark, but I was going to say Smallville.
Yeah,
because you see he is
He
does have a little bit of timidity, he does have a little bit of klutziness, because he's unsure of himself, but he fakes that, you know, assertiveness when he's Superman.
I'd say both series really did a great job of establishing who Kal-El was on Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
So back to Batman, though. Here we've got he just walked out of having to play that role, and the girl, you know, splashing the wine in his face and everything, walked into his parents' portrait there, and then so he went from girls to his dead parents, and then he has a flashback to Beaumont here. And I think there's a tie into there. You know, he lost that maternal love. You know, he lost that maternal influence. You know, even with both of his parents, they're growing up as a young child would have that absolute unconditional care. And I think there's a little bit of a link. The movie's saying there's a link to that and the unconditional love that he found with Beaumont here for a time. I think the sequence of his thoughts here in terms of flashbacks kind of links that.
Why did you say that name?
Oh, wow.
Hey, if I didn't say it, someone was going to type it into the chat.
That's true.
I love the animation where you can really get away with designing even things like the cars. Could just be a little bit different, just a little like that car there. It evokes the 40s.
Yep.
But also, you know.
Yeah.
My favorite is the. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to add on to that on design. I love the skylines and the silhouette of the skylines with the different skies, whether it's dusk, twilight, sunset, or night.
Yeah, that was all part of that timeless nature that a Gotham City or a metropolis should have. You shouldn't be able to place them in any kind of year in reality. You got the high-tech stuff that Batman can do, but you also have the screens that look like old TV screens, not big, large, flat screens, you know, and they're the styles that people wear look a little and only Tim Burton's Batman and Bryan Singer's Superman gave us those takes.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And that's one of the comparisons that someone asked me about Twin Peaks. When is that set? Well, it's kind of the same thing. It's supposed to be a modern setting, but with a style that could be, you know, 40s, 50s, whatever.
Yeah.
But they've created something that's basically timeless.
Yeah, exactly.
It will not age.
And
now
that is the problem with so many things that are being done right now, where they got to be so topical. Well, if you're that topical, you're going to be very dated very quickly. It's not going to be timeless. It's not going to be a classic.
Owen Lister quotes the thug there. So this is Bruce Wayne at the beginning of his career, hasn't figured out the bat motif yet, but he's trying to stop crime. And as he stops them there, the guys kind of laugh at him with the guns. Say, "Oh, you heard Mr. Kung Fu, stand down." The thing is, I like this little cameo of Bullock here as an officer before a detective. But they recognize just a man. He's just another thug like them with a
Yeah.
ski mask. He's nothing greater than them, and in several different meanings of that word we'll get to. But
Well, and it does kind of give some credibility to the concept of Batman and the whole theatrics of it, the symbolism.
Mm-hmm.
This was still I can guess that this was still a time where animation and animated movies really focused on the music. Maybe not as much a priority as visuals, and that's fine. But this music is so dramatic for this scene, and it fits the scene. That's a lot of percussion, cymbals, a lot of brass at the peak volume that a performer will play.
And that was pretty indicative of the animated series in general, but the movie certainly, just as the animation was ramped up for the film, so was the music, I think, definitely. So close, so close. If only I had something like a grappling hook.
He can still do parkour.
That's right. Parkour.
Parkour.
I love that scene when he's escaping the police cars there, because I see Batman as agile and flexible and talented when he's wearing the cowl and costume and all that. But it's nice to see him just as a man with a ski mask, seeing him have that same ability, or at least practicing to have that ability.
That's a good point too, because as I was saying in the pre-show, how Snyder takes things out of context. This movie is a good example of taking things from the comics in context, but still doing their own thing with it. So that was shown in Batman Year One, where he tries going out in just a ski mask first, before he gets the Bat motif. And they lifted the whole context of that idea and put it into their own story, not just a scene or an image or something,
I like to draw a correlation to in cooking. Okay. If you ever have a recipe that is written by someone overseas and they're doing it in Celsius and metric, you can't necessarily just literally translate it. What exactly is that many degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit? What exactly is that many grams in English weight? Because if you do, you end up with having to open up another package of something and use just a little bit of it or whatever. You need to look at the whole recipe and your ingredients and go, what is the intent of the recipe? Or like language. Sometimes you can't translate literally. You need to say, what is the intent of what they meant to say, and get the flavor of it. And I'd say it's the same thing when you're trying to translate these characters. If you just take a literal translation from comic book to film without understanding the purpose of it, you're probably going to screw it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we had he finishes the flashback with kissing Andrea. So it was showing you there was a time he did have a sincere relationship with a woman. And then that ends, and we got this here. And now this is good. This is great writing, because everything is sort of spirally cycling together and connected. The women to Andrea, and he first met Andrea at his parents' grave. Now we're in a gravesite again, and we're going to see his parents' tombstone in a second. So it's just all kind of linked. This is this is called integration in your plot. You don't just want to keep throwing random elements in as your narrative goes. You do want to have some sort of integration to where everything's kind of connected in way there's logical flows.
Oh man, Phantasm is pretty creepy with headphones. Studio. my ears. Oh.
That reverberating bass echoey thing.
Yeah, it links from one ear to the next, so I feel like it's behind me.
So one of the things I greatly appreciate, Professor, about your analysis of things like this, when you talk about the writing, is this realization of how talented sometimes these writers are, because they've taken these things into consideration, thought them through. They didn't say, well, it's just a superhero, it's just for kids, it's just, or wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly.
Low trombones. Actually, low trombones or whether it's bass trombone or just trombones in their low register, always that kind of used for that dirge or that premonition.
Oh yeah, okay. So dirge, perfect setting for the cemetery. And a death sentence and execution carried out.
If you don't have a death knell, you have some sort of chime or that with a bell.
On all the trees with no leaves.
And then the organ.
Oh yeah.
I think that was the organ.
This is a creepy scene for an animated film.
Right.
It's especially creepy that he can't claw himself out. You guys have had those nightmares, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then the statue of the angel, man, don't blink. Don't even blink.
But you got that angel of death, motif there still with the angel statue being this downfall.
And I like Phantasm's creating the fog. It's its own aura of.
Matanui said that the Phantasm was inspired by a character called the Reaper, but maybe not sure. But
yeah,
whether or not that's true, I do seem to remember a character named the Reaper in comics.
Well, Batman Year 2 did cover a storyline very much like this, where Batman has to go up against a vigilante who's going too far. And that's the real difference here. This is how we talked about the Reaper is set up as a Grim Reaper type, but he's also set up as an alternate Batman type. So Batman takes the image of bats who are intended to scare, but a Reaper is clearly intended to kill. So it's Batman using these gadgets, looking, invoking terror, got the cape, got many of the same accoutrements there, but his goal is to murder, is to be judge and executioner, whereas Batman's there to bring that vengeance, quote, justice.
Ah, that's a good parallel. I didn't see that contrast.
Now, this is interesting. I just looked up the Reaper, and it's a pre-crisis character who had several different alter egos, one of whom was Joe Chill Jr.
Oh, interesting. I never got that part. Wow. Yeah.
Same Batman doing the detective work.
Tom Spiegel, I just made the reference because I knew Al would pick up on it. I don't know if the professor would have gotten it or not.
The Doctor Who? Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I love how the shadow
of
the cow climbs up their grave, their tombstone.
Yep.
Oh, there's the organ. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love the organ with that red sky.
Oh, yeah. Red sky. Blood has been spilt. Yeah. Now that's very telling. The idea that she talks to her mother, her dead mother too. He talks to his parents as well, but they don't talk back to him. Now, they don't talk back to her, but she holds this dialogue back and forth. So seemingly she has this much healthier relationship with her dead mother in the terms that she's not beholden to her in any way. She's truly there to honor. Now, Bruce Wayne's there to honor his parents too, of course, but he's also the memory of them is part of something that holds sway over him, given his vow, as he said. We'll develop that more as we go through, but.
Oh, I love that rain falling down into the depths.
Yeah. And I love that as he says later, he's just reading lips here. He doesn't need some super intricate, technical automated bat thing to fly outside the window and amplify or whatever. He can just do his skills,
It's like HAL 9000.
Exactly.
Right.
And I love all the little everything that triggers his flashback is so key. You know, seeing them hold hands, remembering holding her hand himself. Now, the World's Fair, this is wonderful. It's another kind of anachronistic thing because the World's Fair, they used to have these, 30s, 40s, 50s, and stuff like that. But that sort of optimistic view of the future. This is very much what Metropolis would turn out to be, but Gotham sadly won't. But Bruce Wayne, this is a time in his life, since his parents passed away, is he thinking of a positive view of the future, and that's something he's wrestling with in this moment.
Someone had mentioned that, timeless, with the exception maybe of the dirigibles, which, are kind of out of date. And I don't think that's necessarily true. Dirigibles are oftentimes used to connote like an alternate universe, where history could have gone differently. The example I used was the TV show Fringe, where dirigibles are still used in the alternate universe in the modern day. I would say that is totally in keeping with what we're seeing here, a World's Fair in a more modern setting.
Well, they still have World's Fairs.
Do they?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
In the U.S.?
All over the world. I'm not exactly sure.
Kind of like the Olympics, it moves around all the time.
Huh. I love this.
Let me see the next one.
So he's just so easily like, yeah, I'll meet him. It's fine. And he turns around to Alfred. What the heck am I doing? I love that. But he's in love. She smiles in those eyes, and he'll do whatever. He's gonna be there to make her happy.
That is a commitment, though.
Yeah,
it's like saying yes to meet the father. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It helps when you're a billionaire. You got some confidence that you'll be accepted.
One billionaire to the other.
Yeah.
I wanted my daughter to marry a doctor, but a billionaire is okay.
I guess. Sort of black sheep marriage. What's going on here?
The next one's in Dubai.
Oh, okay.
I had no idea that was still a thing. That's interesting.
Yeah. Let's see, last one.
So what you're saying, dear, is that your boyfriend is unemployed.
What's that?
Right. That was not a delay. They were just talking over each other.
Yeah. What did you say, Al?
The last one was 1984 in the United States, New Orleans.
Okay. And Troy, you said something about unemployed?
I was trying to finish the joke about the boyfriend being a billionaire but unemployed.
That's true. You do get some sense of the time passing from how much these thugs have aged, obviously.
Right.
Going from there.
Well, I was going to point out that Alfred, goes from having dark hair in the flashbacks to gray hair in the modern setting.
And can I point out that noir move of just kind of leaning against the desk and taking someone else's cigarette?
Yeah.
That's true. We saw that in a lot of the movies we watched. You're absolutely right. Love the 50s greasers here.
I love the architecture and the setting. Bridges.
It's that Art Deco, but it's on the Gothic end of Art Deco. I like it.
And this is a pretty sweet scene. But not sweet enough because he can't let them on that he might be someone else.
Yeah, exactly. I love this point right here. This scene is just so epic. It's such a Batman move.
I'm sorry. Like that one frame of him, he looks like Cary Grant.
He does.
Why?
Absolutely.
That probably not unintentional.
Yeah. That is just so awesome. That move, jumping right over it into the punch nose and flying right over it. That's just epic.
Oh, but that bike.
But now she, looking at whether he did this on purpose or not, looking over at her, stopped him from stopping that guy. So you get the idea that the two are incongruous. You know, he can't do both.
Yeah, he was just the distraction of her.
Mm-hmm.
And that would certainly break a rib.
Oh yeah. Ouch.
Considering a baseball bat
Yeah.
like that, he's got more than broken ribs. He's got some internal damage too.
Yep.
It's a tall window. I like tall windows.
This is the only place that I've seen this where I've seen many times, Bruce Wayne doing sketches, trying to get the bat suit figured out. But this is the first time that I've seen them depict him trying to come up with a concept before he's got the bat concept out. I just think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. A couple cool things from the chat here. Wolftown Media says, I see that type of move in Noir as the spineless wimp trying to posture power, with those thugs and stuff. And then you've got, and Lister points out that punch scene was straight up out of anime. And even in my limited knowledge of anime, I can definitely see what you're saying there. That move, that slow motion. Yeah, I see that.
I like that the two characters were slow motion, but the motorcycle just kept going a little bit faster to give you that motion.
Yeah.
And after he threw the piece of paper into the fire, he went to the window. There was a flash of lightning and a bat flew by. I don't know if anyone caught that. It's a minor little thing. It wasn't focused on. It wasn't the bat, but it was an intentional thought.
It's referencing the iconic scene from the comics where the bat's supposed to fly in through the window, and then gives him the idea at that time.
I shall become a bat.
Mm-hmm. Now that's telling. Tell me that it's. Oh, go ahead.
Because criminals are a fearful, cowardly lot.
Yeah, cowardly and suspicious. Yeah. Now he says, "Tell me it's okay." He's wanting them to talk back to him, but she says maybe they already have, and this is I think his character growth through the film. If you watch it kind of in a shallow viewing, on the one hand, it would seem that, he just realizes that he's supposed to live a tortured life. No. That's not the character progression at all. As by the end, we'll see. Well, I'll talk about it when we get there because the reveal is a big part of it, and I don't want to give that away to anybody who might be watching the first time. So the Batman's getting the flack for it at this point. Police even think it's him, except for Commissioner Gordon, of course.
That guy right there, the I forget what his name is.
The counselor or the gangster?
The counselor. He reminds me so much of from Spider-Man, the Green Goblin.
Oh, Harry.
Yeah.
Osborn. Yeah.
Osborn. He's got that same angles and look and the hair.
Shape of the head.
Like that little hair.
No, you mean Norman, right? You mean Willem Dafoe.
No, Norman Osborn. But
I thought you were talking about his son Harry with the hair cut and everything.
I think both of them a little bit, but it's very reminiscent of that.
Mm-hmm. I think I neglected to mention it earlier, but we got the O'Neill and Adams reference on the back computer there.
Yeah.
The corner of O'Neill and Adams or something like that.
And I personally think we need to have that retro lime green against the gray on screen.
Yes.
Big flashing text.
Yep. I like that line too. You think you know everything about me? I bloody well ought to. I diapered you, sir.
Right.
And then he has that kind of pitch of, well, you don't.
Yeah. Still the petulant child at this point, running out, storming out on his father. You know, that's basic scene.
I do appreciate the blue.
Yeah.
You know, of course you have to have that with the light and something on black, but it's much appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah, it's part of the iconic color scheme. It indicates certain things. True blue. Oh, and let's just say the councilman was voiced by the same actor who played that coked out businessman from Die Hard.
Oh,
it's been ages since I saw Die Hard.
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh, Leah plus size here. Welcome, Leah. So you joined us there. Worst proposal ever. I don't know. Here, you get the idea. What do you say?
I don't talk too good, but this is a big rock.
Yeah, exactly. Me loaded, you pretty.
Yeah, me loaded, you pretty.
Oh.
And the bats.
And this is actually a great take, you know, because he's seeing someone else's reaction to the bats.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Good point. Yeah. And in this scene too, we'll have the thug manning the door, who is a very interesting persona, but he's not afraid of Bruce Wayne. Doesn't matter how much money you got, pretty boy. We're just gonna pluck a cigarette at your car there, you know. Bruce Wayne inspires no fear.
Does it confuse you a little bit that they actually got Dana Delaney to do her voice?
Who's Lois Lane in the... Yeah. The character's different enough, so it doesn't bother me. But she's a great voice actress, so nice to have her part of it. Now, Alfred knows what this means. He was the one viable chance he actually saw for Bruce to avoid this path that he was going down to be the Batman eventually. And we saw him scouting out the caves, you know, iconic, obviously. The Bat Cave would be there.
Can I just say that this music it makes you feel for this character, and it could be animation, it could be an animated character, but that music was kind of sad with the high strings and the chime. That's
true. And then the music slowly goes into a more kind of gothic sound as the camera pans down into the...
It does actually sound like a dirge, like you're actually celebrating the death of someone. It has that feel.
I like the way he's suiting up and then he reaches out for the cowl, almost like a knight putting on armor.
And I love Alfred's reaction.
Yeah.
Well, you know what that is right there. Think about what just happened in that scene. It's exactly paralleling Jack Nicholson's Joker reveal in the Tim Burton movie. You see him from behind. He reaches out a hand, demands the last of the mirror, and he looks at it. And then the doctor looks at him and says, "My God," exactly what Alfred just said.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Interesting. That because there is a parallel between, even if you know, obviously the '89 Batman movie took it a little too far, then it should be taken the iconic Batman comics. But there's a parallel between what the Joker does with his whatever trauma it was and what Batman does with his. They do become something else, but they obviously at polar opposite ends of healthy.
Best entrance of a villain.
Yeah.
It's just so disturbed. Like they sing and dance and then they explode.
I hate that song. And of course, the great Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
He is the Joker.
I have seen, like a panel, a pane of Mark Hamill, and then his animated Joker on one side, and it's real fun to watch.
Watching him perform, you mean?
Yeah,
Like live action?
doing,
Yeah.
Doing the vocal acting.
It's always fun to watch him do the voice, like at a convention or during an interview or something. Just because he puts his whole body into it.
Yeah.
I love the footage. It's going around on the YouTubes. Him at a convention, someone asked if he would say the line from Batman from the Nolan Joker, "Why so serious?" but say it in his Joker voice. And
I didn't see that.
So cool.
Oh, cool.
I'll see that too.
Let me find it after the stream now. I'll share it in the group.
What I love about this too is the last time we saw this scene was with Bruce Wayne and Andrea thinking about their possible bright future together. Now we've got the Joker mocking it in mocking its dilapidation.
Yeah.
May I say?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh my goodness, with this Joker, like he has all these punchlines and all these. He's just so hammy. He's really hamming it up for one person. It makes you think like if he knows he has a larger audience who's watching.
Exactly.
They have played with that in the comics. The idea of the Joker being aware of being in a comic.
That's interesting.
McKinney90, welcome, sir. Haven't seen you around in a while. Good to see you. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Says that whole scene of Bruce getting chased by that helicopter as he was chasing down Andrea was incredible. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we kind of talked through it. We were on to other things, but the cops were after him and stuff, and yeah, like he just yawns at the money.
But going back to what Sound Engraver was saying, there's another way to look at it too. He puts all this theatrics and effort into a performance for just one person.
Mm-hmm.
He would do it if there was no one else there, just himself,
He'll do it for himself, or not even for himself.
Yeah. Look at the foreshadowing. No way is anybody going to hurt my pal Sal, but you saw that framed underneath the chopping knife.
Yeah.
That's a noir kind of thing too, the little foreshadowing. Smooth move there, Artie. It's not good to go to bed on an empty stomach.
Actually, it's not good to go to bed on a full stomach.
I love that. She's not even dazed, that he's right there. None of his ninja moves work for her. There was an Easter egg in Batman Arkham Origins. when you can explore the Batcave, you go down to, I think, Batman's workshop level, and you can see a postcard from Andrea Beaumont pinned on the bulletin board there.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. That's cool attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? That says something about this character, too, going back to what you just said, her not even being fazed by him standing there.
Mm-hmm.
Like she has this situational awareness, that should tell you there's more to her than meets the eye.
Yeah. Now that's a loaded line there. The only one controlled by his parents is you. Now think about what you know of the movie at the end, those who've seen it. Is that really the case? Think about, and we'll juxtapose those two situations when we get there, but
spoilers.
Well, there could be some projection there too.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Now this is a big scene too, because we've just introduced the Joker about midway through the film, and he's a big character.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as he comes, the dynamics change. This untouchable, inescapable character of the Wraith here, the Phantasm, suddenly you see that character taken off guard, and dynamic has shifted. That's good storytelling too.
No longer floats. Well, it's walking now, but
Mm-hmm. No, good point.
I mean, whoa, boom! I mean, the whole orchestra, man. That's just really dramatic.
Died with a smile on his face.
Yeah. Well, if you gotta go with a smile.
I forgot about that.
What, the line?
No, I forgot that. I thought Phantasm just ran away, but I forgot there was an explosion after that.
Oh yeah. And I think that right there, that Batwing coming up against the moon is probably a little reference to that wonderful scene from the 89
Oh, absolutely.
film.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're going to use that stylistic Batwing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you have got to be evoking the 89 Batman.
Yeah. Now, as cool as the smoke is, if you're running from somebody, maybe turn that feature off.
Yeah, good point. Right, because if you go out of view, well, where'd he go? Well, I guess I'll just follow the smoke.
Exactly.
Keep it that far behind him.
Yeah.
I can't, you know me in numbers anyway. I'm blanking on the exact year this came out. But this was before the Batman Azrael story, right? This was before Batman broke his back in the comics and you had the Azrael storyline. If I'm right in that, you can see where Azrael took a lot of influence from the Phantasm here. Or vice versa.
This was 93.
93. Okay, yeah. So maybe I can't remember which came first, but you can tell they're linked in influence.
Now, it could be because I'm a 90s kid, but I can take this animation style forever.
Oh, absolutely.
Azrael was introduced in October of 92.
92. Okay, so same time period, or right around there. Okay.
I love this scene. Like, guys, really.
That is so cool. And this whole scene with the construction site is right out of Batman Year 1 too. Although it was set more towards the earlier years of his career, but it's still a cool concept when Batman is truly cornered. I love the police vans there where they come out of. It looks like it's just so like custom made for toys. The little latch in the back and lifts up. You know?
Right. How can we put more play features into this product?
Exactly.
I do like the feature of the white eyes, you know, when he's hiding and you could just, you know, the viewer can see where he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great thing that you can do in animation.
Well, you could do it in reality too. Cosplayers do it all the time. A cool possibility in a realistic version of that, you know, with lenses, is that you could put LEDs behind it and he could project like red eyes if he wanted to, or something like that.
Oh,
I love this part.
Yep. And it's misdirection. That's awesome. That's perfect. That's what he would have learned from his training, that kind of misdirection and such. And it's the detective here. His head has been wounded. You've got his vision blurry.
Yeah,
that's his most potent weapon has been incapacitated or affected. So no wonder he's running. And his mask is taken off. I mean, this is Batman is the most vulnerable you've ever seen him.
and she's really the only, besides Alfred, she's really the only person that can save him, knowing his identity.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the most work Bullock's done in a long time.
I like that the sweat's just roasting, just falling off of him. Hard-headedness was always your virtue.
Bullock's in shape. Round is a shape.
Great pacing too, because we just had that really intense action, and now we're perfectly willing to sit with them quietly and hear a little bit of exposition. You know, that the film has earned it. The narrative has earned it for us to sit quietly and listen to some action there. You know, I mean, listen to some exposition.
And more importantly, it's exposition. It's information that Bruce wants anyway. So it's important to the character.
Yeah, it's not
Important to
gratuitous.
us.
Good point. Yeah. No, this is, I mean, talk about the stakes. Guy's daughter. Knowing what we know from the father here in a second, and that he's ultimately the reason she left Bruce back then. I like that we see this scene with him, because you get, it's not that he doesn't make him the bad guy that happened. You know, you really do get the sense of desperation that drove him to it.
And of course, you know, those cigarettes are not going to do him too well in later life.
Yep.
True.
Retrospect.
But I also love when you like see one of the henchmen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, resolve. Did you see that look of resolve? Did you guys catch it?
No, what is it?
A look of resolve. Think of what's her name? Jane Greer. Look of resolve.
Oh, you're right. Okay, femme fatale. Yeah. Now today, you how dare you show a character smoking in an animated feature? They wouldn't even let you do that. But this, at least you saw the consequences, you know?
That's true. Yeah, this is in the 90s. That would have been probably a big no-no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although I'm sure that the oxygen tanks later was a very tempering thing for the censors. You know, well, you are showing the consequences. In fact, you could even see it as a cautionary tale. Therefore,
yeah, maybe, yeah. Or only bad guys smoke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
It is kind of a throwback to the Hays Code, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you guys see a little bit of the similarity between the design of her father and the picture of Thomas Wayne?
Yes.
Yeah.
They both have mustaches. They both, you know, it's again just drawing out the similarities between the two characters and the two paths that they find themselves on due to the different choices they made in response to what happened to them.
Whoops.
The foot pop.
Yep.
Love the foot pop.
I thought only women like the foot pop.
No. Guys like it too.
When you can make a lady foot pop,
Exactly.
Oh, that's
like,
yeah, that's
yeah.
Somewhere Catwoman is upset. You know, even
Daddy doesn't matter anymore. We'll come back to that. Go ahead.
What else?
even in a cartoon, it's hot to see a woman.
Yep, I knew he was going to say that.
You know, I was thinking when we were doing this, when I was planning this, I remember listening to a little bit of you and Fan Man when you did your rewatch, and I thought, yeah, we're definitely going to steer away from that. We're going to steer away from that. We're going to steer away from that. But one half of the duo is still here. So.
Oh man, I love those angles.
Tabletops? Yeah.
Oh no, the angles of the window and the how the windows pop out for air and
and the
Angle
canted
wise.
angles.
Yeah.
And I like the juxtaposition between the picture of him and Andrea and then to his parents.
Him and his mother, even. Yeah.
Yeah, what he wants.
Yeah.
it's
Something's kind of familiar about that henchman.
something kind of cool. The way there's a lot of texture in the walls and the
Yeah.
floor and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
I find that very interesting. The
Yeah.
ground, you don't see that in like the regular animated series.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously a detail, and you can even see it on those buildings in the back there.
Oh yeah.
There are little differences like that. I remember watching a behind the scenes or an interview with Bruce Timm when Superman Doomsday came out, and he was talking about because they had a bigger budget, they could actually show things like lights inside the buildings, whereas the animated series you wouldn't see that necessarily from Metropolis anyway.
I love when Joker wears his hat.
I like it because the hat and coat is evocative of his gangster background.
Right.
But it's still the purple band, and it shows what he's become, where he came from.
And the spats.
Spats.
And one way to depict a character who's so different, who's such an anomaly, villain or otherwise, is the instrumentation. So it might be cliche, I don't know, but there's a little bit of that kind of circus, pipe organ for Joker, even if it's just like for a couple seconds.
Nice. I
Just
never picked that up.
A little bit of that, and a little bit of piano when he entered.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Arturo.
Now, I've only done voice acting for like commercial ads or something, and it's only been 2 times. Voice acting is really tough. It is. I'm not an actress or an actor on screen, but it is so difficult. And I just hear his dynamic range and inflection and nuance. And it's just so talented. It's just talent all through and through.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what now, Sound Engraver? We're going to need to hear these ads you did.
Yeah, he didn't pay me anyway, so I have no. I'll say what the script is. No, I'm just.
Yeah.
I didn't get paid. I didn't sign a.
No, I did sign an agreement, so I'll stick to my virtue.
Actual products that are like aired on television, or?
Yeah, it was international.
Oh wow!
Sweet.
But, nah. Yeah, it was sweet until I didn't get paid.
Oh no!
There's that laugh.
Yep. And I like that it's only now that you realize it's coming from the counselor.
Yeah. Again, this is one of those scenes, man. I think it's film noir that can make me hyperventilate. I'm not right now, but I'm like, goodness.
Yeah. And this is far crueler. Rather than just killing somebody outright with the Joker toxin, giving him just enough to make a politician make a total fool of himself. You know, that's...
Okay, I know whoever did the acting for him, he probably did pass out in the studio room. The way he was breathing, I'm like, whoa, you need some air, man.
Yep.
It's Hart Bachner.
Oh.
And the fact that Batman starts it up again, this links the fear to the laughing.
That's some of the tears just coming out of his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine that though. The more scared you get, the harder you laugh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what's so brilliant about the Joker as Batman's biggest opponent there, in the sense that Batman's there to invoke fear, strike fear. Even the villains, some villains get angry, but they're still afraid, except for the Joker, who simply sits there and laughs at him.
Yeah.
And that is the ultimate showdown, you know?
Now, I know there are particular opinions about the Nolan treatment, But in what's the second film? The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
That scene when Joker is laughing and I don't care for the beating part, but when he just laughs and antagonizes, Bruce's psychology there.
Yeah.
Would that be a true treatment of what the Joker can do?
Yeah, I think that's a great, wonderful moment for the first meeting of them. Absolutely. And they drew from that in Arkham Origins, which I think even developed it even better. But yeah, that's an iconic scene. You did have those wonderful scenes in the Nolan films. Absolutely.
Wrestler dude was acting if Paul Dini weren't on the movie, right? It's like,
Yes, he did. Yeah.
He was part of the writing team.
Oh, okay.
I do feel that the Nolan era did get a lot of things right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one of the biggest problems, though, was, again, that was still the peas and the carrots being kept separate. I can't, our Batman can't be in any other universe, and therefore,
he can do what he wanted to. Yeah.
Right.
Now, this is telling because this is Batman's first inclination as to who this person might be. The Joker clearly thinks he's talking to a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Love that fast thinking.
Disconnected. You feel so slimy laughing at the Joker's jokes about death, but he just sells them in such a way.
Hamill, he just perfected it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this was flashing back again, of course, here. And we know that because we've established already that that's the Joker in the past. So that's a great way. You don't have to show, too much there. And we find out that her father's been killed.
Oh, love that sky.
I actually think this is quite funny.
He's patting the robot on the butt.
Right.
Oh, it's funny.
And why do I suddenly want some bologna?
I know, right?
And there's the big reveal, of course. So now we.
Oh my gosh! It's a woman.
Now I thought I had figured it out about a little before halfway. I thought the Phantasm was her father, but then the flashback came, and then I was like, oh, okay. But then he would have been too old. I just didn't have any concept of time when I. was
sure.
thinking about this.
Chris Damon says you're meant to feel bad laughing at the Joker's deeds, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly. That's why he works best.
Oh, right in the nuggets. But you notice when he was hitting her prior to that, he was doing it with like a lot of flair.
Mm-hmm. Like he comes at her with the mixer first, and then you clearly have a cleaver within reach, but he's going to grab the bologna.
Exactly.
And it shows how he doesn't even take her seriously,
Well, it's also a bit of his MO, right? It's not just the functionality. There's also the style, his own version of the theatrics. That Batman has, right?
Yeah.
Now I don't know if it was just my days with Scooby-Doo, but I just love the dark color palette of this scene.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm sitting there loving the old carnival ride with the little rocket ships.
I like that he called her Smokey the Babe because of the smoke and everything. And I love this. I think it's here
Oh man. Now let's just say that was lucky that she caught the pole.
Oh yeah, yeah. Buy Batman the time he needs.
Yeah. Yes.
There he goes. Gonna sacrifice that motorcycle.
Well, he can afford it.
Yeah. And I love the Joker's reaction is priceless. It's so priceless.
Wow. Man.
That's intense.
Just as dramatic. You don't need to do this live actions. Just as dramatic.
Exactly. Exactly.
Nuts.
Why didn't someone tell me he had one of those things?
But you know, the last time we saw the two of them in a motorcycle was back in the thug scene. And
Right.
what was his lesson in that scene was realizing that she's not going to work. His relationship with her won't work in this life that he wants to pursue over here. Now we're seeing the culmination of it. She doesn't work with his life, not because she couldn't have worked back then, not because he can't have a relationship, but because she chose the path he refuses to go on.
Right.
Before he saw her as far too innocent to have anything to do with his path. Now he realizes she's far too guilty to have anything to do with his path.
Mm.
She's on the opposite side.
Mm-hmm. So that's a real lesson when it comes to Batman. It's not that he can't have a happy personal life. And this is why I love the idea of Catwoman eventually with him, a reformed Catwoman with him. This is why I was so excited at the beginning of Tom King's run before he just utterly fell to pieces. But that idea of Catwoman and him really becoming serious was a great one, I thought.
I was going to draw that correlation there, that this story does put a very interesting light on at least the beginning of his relationship with Selena, because there's but just this whole idea of you know, I've already been through this. I can't have a relationship with someone on the opposite side, but she's not really as far on the other side as this girl is.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And she can be reformed.
Gotta do a Godzilla rewatch.
Right?
That's reminding me of a little kaiju action.
Or King Kong with the planes. Very Toy Man reminiscent. Those little innocent.
I was just thinking that too. Yeah.
Yeah. He strikes a little pose on the...
And now you got me thinking, what a great origin story for Toy Man. If as he starts his criminal career, he's coming up with supplies like this for other villains.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. And again, using the cape, using his bat to save him, using the bat motif to save him.
And on the score, you know, it's been the same kind of great dynamic reaction, or in the orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's really hard to do analysis with Joker there. But with Joker, it's chaotic in that it's these kind of real disjointed lines and little steps, you know, stepwise motion, chromatic motion that didn't come before. It's to showcase his zaniness as a villain versus the cops. The cops is it's still dissonant with the cops in the action, but it's not as comical sounding.
Mm-hmm. So, and if the more dynamic scale is there, that's kind of a comment on the dynamic of his personality too.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
interesting. Cool.
A lot more steps used in the scale with him.
Uh-huh.
I did want to point out one comment. Mr. Matchstick says the Bat family is an attempt for Bruce to have his cake and eat it too, with the mission and the family. I would argue that the Bat family is exactly the kind of family the Batman needs to have. And they absolutely are a family.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I mean, you know, if you think of the Robins as being, you know, his children, and even to some degree Batgirl.
Yeah.
And especially when you keep it in the context of the greater extended family, when you start talking about the Outsiders and the Titans and so forth.
I love how they're consistent keeping Joker's missing tooth.
Yeah, yeah. Because that's symbolic. Batman steals that grin, steals that smile, you know. Doesn't matter to a true vigilante, though. So this is interesting. Batman, when he was taking the Joker down with the rocket just now, Joker said, "You got to let me go, or you know, we'll both die." And Batman was willing to take that chance if it meant he could stop the evil that he was doing or stop him from hurting somebody else. Now, Andrea is willing to take a chance that she'll die with the Joker just so her vengeance will be, you know, sated. So again, just another juxtaposition of the two.
And there's that imagery that this whole place of the future is being destroyed, at least in the context of her future.
Absolutely.
And in some context, Batman's too. Of what he was looking for.
And you know, it's funny because I feel like exactly what you just said is exactly why the Joker is laughing. He got that joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good point. Good points. And where does Batman go to escape it, but into a cave, the underground sewers?
Right.
Owen Lister for $4.99 says, "What I love about this epic Joker laugh is the fact it's all a joke to him."
Right.
Yeah.
And I know this is animation and superhero, and it's not based on realism, but come on, those sewers would not be that clean.
Well, the last thing you'd want to see in that scene is any, you know, anything like that.
Well, even worse, it tells you in Gotham City, the sewers flow out to the waterway.
Oh,
not to a sewage plant.
Yeah, of course, if it was real, here comes Alfred with about a dozen tetanus shots.
Right.
But what he says here is so perfect. He says, vengeance is what took her. It's black. He says, and I think, you know, I fear every night that you're going to become the thing you fight, but I think heavens that you haven't. That's a line that he will not cross. He won't become that type of vengeance, you know?
Yeah. And he accepts that. He accepts he can't cross that line. I know that sounds simplistic, but it's very hard to accept that truth.
Yeah. I mean, that's the be all and end all of his character. The fact that he will accept, I'm not crossing that line. I mean, that's such a hard lesson for some writers to learn for him.
Yeah.
Well, Tim Media says, Sound Engraver just pulled a netter. She is embracing Monticelli.
I spent a lot of time with you guys.
Don't learn the wrong lessons from us, though.
And yeah, Owen Lister, the C shows how good of a father figure Alfred truly is. Absolutely. Yeah, he is.
Okay, guys, I think about Lady Eve when I see this scene.
Yep. True. And I love that now we're panning up. Up to where Batman is watching over the city. Whereas before we started the film panning through the city, it was a different direction. We get a sense of the character progression. And then looking up at the signal, this is the life he's chosen, but it's because it's a virtuous choice, not a torturous one. That's his character development in this movie. I love that.
And that choral chorus.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the soundtrack. Yeah.
It's very noble.
I like that focus right on the symbol.
Yep.
That goes out.
As it and you go into his cape for the fade to black.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Conroy.
Yes.
I like how the credits are done too. We just don't have a scroll. We have featuring the talent or the voices of it. You get to highlight these great.
Oh, okay. The father was doing the voice. Okay, I didn't.
What's that?
The voice of the Phantasm was the same guy doing the voice of her father.
Yep.
Oh wow! I didn't catch
She was
that.
using her father's voice.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
Stacy Keach was doing it.
I don't know if I approve of this credit music.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel right.
There's always a disconnect between a score, like the actual sound of a film, and then the songs. Sometimes songs are written to be included in the movie, and that's great. But then there's usually like a whole album that really just has nothing to do with the movie.
Yeah.
That's
So
marketed.
keep in mind that this is obviously meant to be the same kind of idea conceptually as like the '89 Batman having, Prince's music, so that you could have something popular played on the radios.
Yeah, unless it's Xanadu, that works.
Yes.
You know who the singer is?
Who?
Me? No.
Tia Carrere.
Is
That's
it
Tia
really?
Carrere? Whoa.
Yep.
She's so much more rocking in Wayne's World.
Mm-hmm.
Loved her version of Ballroom Blitz. That was cool.
Really cool to see all these Korean surnames
Mhm.
in the cast.
Yeah, it was they sent it off to a studio in Japan, I think, for the animation, didn't
Well, these are Korean names.
they? Or yeah, wherever they sent it, but Asian. Yeah. I wouldn't have known that though, by the way.
I'm from Seattle, so I can recognize a surname when I see one.
Oh, cool.
Now we get into the Japanese from Spectrum Animation Studio.
Nice.
All right, I'll be
Wrestling,
right.
dude. That song was so unfitting. It is very 90s. That's right, Owen Lister. I'd like to do I don't think I'd be able to fit it in. Maybe, I don't know. If I have an extra night during October. But Batman the Animated Series, of course, that's the Batman series, of course. But the series that came after it, The Batman, really had some cool stuff in it. It took weird directions towards the end, but it really did some cool stuff. And they did a movie, Batman versus Dracula, which is actually spot on. I mean, it's really good. It seems like it'd be cheesy, but it's really well done. And at some point, I'd like to do a rewatch of that.
So we watched that last year, didn't we?
No, I did reviews of it and stuff like that and talked about it, but I don't think I did a rewatch.
I might have. You know what? I think I might have watched it and read a review of it. Maybe that's what.
Yeah, I think I recommended it to you. Yeah. Arcade Burns is excited about that idea. Definitely. Let me go ahead and pop the earbuds out so I'm no longer being serenaded by Tia Carrere.
There are worse things, my friend.
Yeah, Mr. Master said, any chances for some noir Batman episode rewatches, like a Bullet for Bullock? Yeah, that'd be a great idea sometime. Yeah. Definitely. Maybe after the Halloween season comes over and stuff. Very cool.
Casey Scott posted in the Professor Geek group, sounds like thunder outside, but the way 2020 is going, it's probably Godzilla. And speaking of the Professor Geek Facebook group, by all means, make sure that you go and join the group.
Yes, absolutely. Great
Answer the questions or you're not getting in. But come join us, because that's where the conversation continues after and in between shows.
Exactly. And great conversations do take place there. And I try to check in occasionally when I can, but even you guys don't need me. You guys just roll on with great conversations and stuff. So good stuff. And that's where we post not only information and upcoming stuff about my channel, but everybody here in our community, has got things going on in their channels. So Really
And
fun
I'm
day.
doing the best I can to keep up with all of it. To
I
be
know,
honest
poor
with you
Troy.
guys. Now we're starting to have multiple streams on given days, so I'm doing the best I can to keep up with them.
Last night
I'm
on
still
Sound
no
Engraver,
Wednesday.
on Monday Night News last night on Sound Engraver, your stream, you were saying that, all right, eventually we're going to have to step in. We can't let Troy do it all. I was tempted to write, he's my secretary. No one else gets it. But yeah, we appreciate the calendar.
Sound Engraver's like, I'll pay you twice what the professor does.
That's a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, that's nothing.
No, I definitely appreciate everything you do. Obviously, everything you do, Troy, but also just everybody in the community.
Yeah,
all the little things they do. Just and you guys in the chat, obviously, very much appreciate those super chats. They just go a huge way to helping me support things. But even those who can't super chat and are just here consistently and just being a part of the community, it's much appreciated. So, absolutely. So we'll try and work in Batman versus Dracula. A lot of people in the chat seem to be excited about that, and it was so well done. And
they did a cartoon series or a cartoon movie.
Yeah, an animated series with the Batman that came later, and it was had some cool stuff about it. But then they did a movie for it, just straight to DVD. But Batman versus Dracula, and it was it wasn't cheesy. It was like, what if the real Dracula came to Gotham? And the Batman villains are a part of it. And they really did a great job of juxtaposing Batman, because he takes some certain cues from the idea of Dracula and creating this persona that's going to strike fear into the criminals. So it was really fascinating. Vicky Vale is a part of it, and wonderful showdown, just really great stuff in it. So yeah. Unless you're 499 said best song for Batman is Judas Priest's Blood Red Skies. Look it up. Never been a Judas Priest fan. Can't quite get over the name, to be honest, but I know they're talented. I know Rob Halford is a talented singer and stuff, but that 80s, he's part of that sort of Iron Maiden era. Yeah. Batman Sub-Zero. Yeah. Another good one. So yeah. So in terms of what's happening with the rewatches now, this was our filling in this one sort of odd week we had open before September, because next week, of course, is September, as we lead up to my birthday on September 4th. But we'll start our Universal Monsters rewatch on my channel. So doing the Tuesday Night Classics is going to be doing the way back in the 30s and in 40s classics of the Universal Monster movies, and those done contemporary times at that time with Jekyll and Hyde. But we're going to start off with the great classic iconic Invisible Man. Why am I blanking on the actor's name, Al? Help me out. Claude Rains, the iconic voice. Yeah. And that's a great one to start out with. I think the next one.
And it seems the professor needs a little primer, so he might want to visit iconic Universal Monsters. You'll learn a lot of the information on these films.
How would I find that page, Al?
Huh?
How would I find that page?
Well, you can go to Facebook and type in iconic Universal Monsters.
And the URL that Al clearly doesn't know for his own page.
Or you could just click on the link that Troy is just dropping into the chat.
There you go. And as you see, facebook.com/iconic Universal Monsters.
Because most people will just go to Facebook and type in iconic Universal Monsters and it'll leave it.
And yeah, that's a great page. Al does a great job with it, and lots of trivia. And it's all strictly the classic Universal stuff. You're not going to, because that's what I like. I mean, I know Al kind of thinks it's all the same thing, but I like a delineation, knowing that if I go to something that's supposed to be a classic monster, I don't want to go there and see a bunch of blood, guts, and gore. I just want to see the pathos, the old classic black and white, content, and that's why Al keeps it. So
you'll see that, but you'll see some of the odd Universal ones like Tarantula and the Monolith Monsters and the Metaluda Mutant, of course, of the Silent Earth.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people forget Universal Monsters are more than just Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and them guys.
Yeah, they're the iconic ones there, definitely. Mm-hmm. So people in the chat seem to be looking forward to that. Yes. Arcade Burns, remember the 4th of September, superpowers, mythos, and plot.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Well done. So this is Tuesday night. Nothing going on tomorrow, of course. Another open night that no one's taken up yet. Thursday. I don't know if Fan Man's going to do his Second Cup Cafe because he's prepping. You know, he said that the first storm was a bit of a bust, but the second one's supposed to hit around Thursday. So
if it does, the last I heard, he's in for a rough day.
Yeah. So
the strong side of a storm is always in the east, and it would hit, and he'd be right in that eastern zone.
Yeah, so keep him and his family and everybody else living in that area in your prayers, definitely. And so maybe Thursday morning, maybe not, depending. Probably not. I wouldn't look for it given the situation. Just, you probably want to be safe. But Thursday night, of course, we'll be back for the Dune book study again, and we will finish out book one of the book Dune. The first one is divided up into 3 books. So we'll finish out that first book one in the Dune book. We still have book 2 and book 3 of the first installment there to go. But
a lot of interesting stuff going on this week. Sweet.
Yes. And of course, I'll be back for a writing lesson pre-show at 9:00 that night. So tune in for that. Always have a lot of fun with that. Now, and I need to remember tonight to go ahead and put that up in the Facebook, but I will welcome a couple writing samples, because I think I didn't do it last week. Not a topic yet, but sometimes I ask for samples first, and I kind of see if there are any prominent issues that come up with the samples, and maybe that'll lead me to it a little bit, but maybe something will inspire me.
Right.
I don't know. I just need to think one step ahead at a time, right? Especially this week. I just went to the campus today and got the classes start this week, and I just got access to the online portals and stuff because of some technical difficulties and whatnot. So getting that all taken care of, but it went well. So yeah, Thursday night will be that. Friday, if everything goes well and continuing with Fan Man, we will be back for a Fan Man Tonight, the last of the Fan Man Tonights before he starts his Fright Nights during September and October. And then Saturday, don't worry about Saturday. Nothing of interest is going on at all. So just come back. What's happening Saturday, Al?
Hey, you guys.
Exactly.
We're watching The Electric Company?
We are. See, this is why I had you falling to your death, Troy. You just need to have those gentle, soft hands. But no, we were watching the 1985 classic movie, The Goonies, on my channel.
The classic Richard Donner film, I might add. The Superman director.
Chris Columbus, Steven Spielberg, all a part of it. And of course, see Thanos and Samwise.
Yes, Sean Astin.
The before time.
Yeah.
Oh my
Sean
gosh.
Astin.
Yeah, you're right.
Thanos and Samwise's brothers.
Yeah. Wow.
Al already has the link up, so I've dropped it there. You can go and be the second thumbs up and the second comment, because I got first.
If they show up, Al, will you sweeten the pot and do the truffle shuffle?
I do the truffle shuffle all the time. There's
I don't know what it meant when the prof said it, and I don't know what it meant when Al said it.
Have you never seen The Goonies?
No,
Oh, it's a little before your time, isn't it?
The 80s, was it 80s or?
Yeah.
85.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was -2.
Oh my gosh, I feel so old.
Now the chat is going to do their numbers. I was -18.
Yep.
Oh, I am such an old fart.
I was plus 20.
Well, I was only 5, so not that bad. But they ask every group of kids movie needed their token fat kid in the day, so Chunk is his name, and they won't let him come inside until he does the truffle shuffle, which is him having to stand up, pulling up his shirt and shaking around a lot, which sounds really mean and cruel and like, wow, how traumatic. But Chunk the character is kind of annoying too, so it works. It's
like
funny.
He's kind of got it coming, yeah.
So so that's good. That's on Al's channel Saturday night.
Great movie. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. And then this week Sunday is Study Hall, right? Troy, is that on Aged Boomer's channel?
That'll be on Aged Boomer's channel, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to quickly find his
go ahead.
link here.
Are you going to have a panel of guests already set up, or do you not know that yet?
I'm sure we're going to have at least one guest, but I don't recall. It might be Owen Lister.
Yeah.
Better. She's in the chat.
Yeah.
Yes, Netter's here. Sorry I missed the show. PC appears to be on the road to recovery. That's good. Find out tomorrow if my awesome IT guy Chris was able to fix it. That's such good news, Netter. I hope we definitely missed you tonight. So thanks for that.
So I just dropped Aged Boomer's page. Please go give him a subscribe to him. You know, he's just starting out. We need to get him some numbers if we can.
Yeah,
be really cool.
And he really is. And anybody knows in the community, Age of Boomer's just been a stalwart. I mean, he's right up there with the Stephen Cruises and the Casey Scotts who've been here forever. So, and many of you other in chat I'm just not mentioning right now, but he's a great guy. And if you listen to those streams, he's got a lot of good things to say. I really do hope.
Not to mention, as self-deprecating as Aged Boomer is, he's got a very professional way of running the show. You know, he's actually got his tech down. He was so concerned. He asked me to walk him through StreamYards and stuff. And heck, he makes Fan Man and Professor Geek look like amateurs.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Of course, he keeps it simple.
and by all accounts, he's probably ahead of 80% of the YouTube content out there in terms of audio quality and voice and all.
Yes.
Clearly not somebody just speaking into the mic on his laptop or something. Yeah.
Or staying on mute.
Wow. See, I thought I was beyond it, but Sounding Great said, nope, let's take you back there.
No, yeah, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. And you know what? I'm also going to drop Mr. Matchstick, his channel, because it's if I recall correctly, he is going to be going to a regular Sunday night, every Sunday night with his Weeb Watch.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And we're still working with him. He's probably going to be after exactly. He's going to be after the study hall, so I think it's going to be. I don't know about the timing on it, but we'll get that figured out in due course. But if you subscribe to both of their channels, you'll never have to worry about it because it'll pop up in your feed and you'll just be able to click on it.
Click that bell for notifications. I would like to applaud Troy's attempt at halting the Weeb Watch song. I thought it's a noble attempt, Troy, but it's not gonna work. For just a second, Al faltered just a second. Now I was like, oh heck no. And then he came back and finished.
I appreciate it. I totally didn't realize what was going on. It's not because I love the Weeb Watch song, and I
tried to keep it low to make it like background music.
Oh,
exactly. Working together on that stuff there.
So and then I also don't want to forget Wolf 10 Media, who is also doing on his channel. I don't know how consistent he is, if it's every weekend or whatever, but there are occasional Weeb Watches. I don't know if I don't think he calls them Weeb Watches, or maybe he does. I don't know. But on Saturdays, which happened a little bit before the Saturday night rewatch. So
drop that link too.
Yep.
Go subscribe to Wolf 10 Media as well.
Yeah. That's what I love to do with this community. You know, you guys starting your own channels. That is exactly what we like to see. And just encourage all of you who are starting your own channels, all the ones we mentioned and those who are thinking about it. These live streams are great. As you know, they're a lot of fun. We get to interact with each other. But if you want that channel to grow, you have to put out some video content on a somewhat regular basis when you get to that point. But that's the only thing that's going to grow your channel. You can do appearances on other people's live streams. You can do that kind of thing, but nothing will really make your channel grow and take hold like putting out recorded content on a regular basis. So,
and if I may add to that, you guys who draw and do illustrations, that is content. Don't think you have to have a specialty to do that, a special content on YouTube. Drawing is content.
Yeah.
And drawing with commentary overhead, or having still shots of your work, or maybe still shots of, well, depending on copyright, still shots of people who inspire you with commentary in the background. It can be really simple, but what people want is frequency.
Yeah.
And we're throwing out a lot of links and a lot of channels and the schedule and everything. in case you get lost and you like, wait, when is that we watch again? I just dropped the link to the Professor Geek Facebook group again, because we keep it posted in the files section, the monthly schedule, so you can just go and check.
Yeah, if you go to files, Troy has it labeled by month, and you can also click announcements, because I try to keep them all clicked as announcements, but I just turned Facebook on and Al's message all in caps, "You are muted."
Good thing you got that.
Ever gonna
so
live
quickly.
That
now, Prof, come on now. Like, this is the reason to always look at chat. What's going on in chat?
I know. Be better, Prof. You're better than that.
One more announcement. What's happening on Monday?
Yes. Get to our Monday night, which will cycle us back around. Monday Night Muse. Any topics in mind yet, or to be determined?
Not to be determined. Probably something simple, like art and using a very simple thing I like about art, and then putting it to music. Or if I don't have anything before then, probably just Q&A. But I actually do want to have some sort of topic.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, guys, for your questions last night too. That was great.
It was a great stream. You guys should definitely go back and check it if you missed it. A lot of cool content and discussion. But that would be cool, because you talk a lot, and you've even shown some of the art that inspires some of your stuff. I think in terms of writing, but it'd be really fascinating to hear how it inspires your music and everything. So good idea. Cool.
Thank you.
And then that takes us back to next Tuesday, of course, which will be The Invisible Man here at 10 p.m. So any closing thoughts on Batman or the content tonight from you guys?
Well, I am going to drop one more link, and that's to my Facebook group for fixing the DC Cinematic Universe.
Yes.
One of the things we talked about tonight was, a couple times we talked about comparing and contrasting what we're seeing in the cartoon here as opposed to the DC Universe live action, the 89, and so forth. And what I decided to do is create a group where we go back in time. We rewind it back to, the late 80s, early 90s, and how they could have built an integrated, blended fabric of a universe if they had started with, for example, Smallville, and built out from there and not had the peas and carrots problem. And we've already had a couple of people on there with suggestions and ideas. It's fun. It's not like Warner Brothers is ever going to listen to us, but we can put together our own headcanon.
Yeah. And that's I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of times people ask, as they did tonight, ask me some of the questions like that. And like, that's just not a place I'll go necessarily, or a train of thought that I'll continue, but other people in the community will. And that's a great group you've got there. Also, the Disney Star Wars boycott Disney Star Wars group you have.
Yeah, and specifically boycott the Disney Star Wars for its own sake.
Yeah, for its own sake. Yeah.
The goal is that they get the message and get their act together. Let me drop that link here too.
Yeah. And Netters Network, don't forget to do all the YouTube things, like, share, subscribe, hit that notifications bell. Yes. And I can't wait to see more content or streams and stuff on Netters Network too once our computer gets fixed. That'll be great to see that building now. So, all right. Any closing words, folks?
Great film. I enjoyed this one.
Absolutely. Agreed. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us in the chat. Thanks for being here with the pre-show if you were. If not, you can go back and check that out. I'll eventually cut it and make it its own video. And join us next time around. But until then, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
And always check to make sure you're not muted.